Are no strangers to each other and to championship football. Today they clash as the number 3 and 4 ranked teams in all of Division III. The Wesley Wolverines, the Mount Union Raiders, Division III semifinals, next on ESPN. Welcome to the NCAA Division III Football Championship presented by Northwestern Mutual. And they meet again. Last year's quarterfinal at Dandy. Will this be as well? The Raiders and the Wolverines for the right to get to the championship of Division III football. Both of these teams have put up incredible numbers, and they will face the winner of Linfield UW-Whitewater, which goes later today, 3:30, also on ESPN3. Welcome. I'm Jim Barber. This is John Gregory, who started Marshall as a great and young at that time quarterback. Now, he's hedging today. He said before we got to the studio and the stadium that this would be a defensive game, even though all the great offensive numbers stand out. But you were watching warm-ups. Now how do you feel?
Yeah, well, I'm an offensive guy, so I sit up here in the press box and I see these teams. Emotionally, I like to see the scoring, so I think probably we will get that high-scoring game today. Now,
for Mount Union, they have owned this series in just 3 games, so you have to say Wesley knows this team is its Achilles heel.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see year in, year out, it seems like they meet in the semifinals, quarterfinals. Last year, Mount Union winning that game 62-59, and wow, a lot of offense in that football game.
In that game, quarterback Joe Callahan threw 4 picks, but for Wesley in a great comeback, he had 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, and look at that, 633 yards passing in that football game. They had only 2 yards rushing, so I think that's going to be a key for them today. They can't be one-dimensional against this Mount Union team. They're going to have to be able to run that football.
Good point. Kevin Burke's team last year did run the football, so his numbers were modest, but lately his numbers have been off the chart.
Yeah, with this guy, whenever you have him in the lineup, you've got an opportunity to win a national championship. He's proven that. This guy is just a winner, and what he is more than anything else is he's a leader of this football team. The players believe in him, and he's taken them to the championship before.
Each quarterback, John, has thrown for nearly 4,000 yards. The touchdowns are comparable. Both guys up for the Division III Football Player of the Year award.
And the winner of this game today may go a long way to winning that trophy, and one of these guys could have a very good chance of walking away with it.
Weather conditions, the temperature is right and freezing as we speak. The winds on the west-southwest, 10 miles an hour. It feels like it's 24 degrees, and we're about ready to get started. Trey Jones is deep, number 5, and the Mountaineers will face the kickoff from Eric Spidell. So Spidell kicks off for the Wolverines. And for the Purple Raiders, they're about set to get the football, and we are off. It's a ground ball headed to the end zone. And ruled a touchback. Football comes out to the 25-yard line. Wesley trying to get to its first championship game, facing Kevin Burke and that high-octane Mount Union offense, which has been to the title game each of the last 9 years. How about that quarterback rating? And he compares to a guy that's likely to win the Heisman.
Yeah, how ironic is that? He's up for it next week at the Division III level, and Marcus Mariota probably going to walk away with it tonight.
First offensive series of the game. Nice to have you with us on this D3 semifinals. Full receiver set for Burke, who will throw to his right. And on the first pass play of the game, they move from the 25 to the 44-yard line on a rocket to Torrey Scott.
Well, the first thing you'll notice is the accuracy of Kevin Burke, his ability, so efficient with the football. Both of these quarterbacks able to find their receivers, don't turn the ball over, and just kind of lead their team. Very efficient.
From the 45, play action for Burke. Throwing it down the field, it's got a receiver, and that ball is dropped to the 15-yard line. Intended for Sherman Wilkinson, who had 3 pass receptions for scores against Wesley last year. Let's talk impact. We'll talk offense first with Namdar and Mitchell, who have also put up very, very good numbers.
Yeah, guys that can run the football, catch the football. They spread it around well, but a very good defense in Petros and Capapula, 2 guys that can play defense and really think that they can stop this Mount Union offense today.
On second down, quarterback keep, and that's Burke for a gain of 8. We'll bring him to a 3rd and 2. Burke can not only throw the football, as you saw moments ago, he can run it on the season now with a pickup of 8, 476 yards in roughly 100 carries.
Well, you're the highest rated passer in Division III, but the ability to run the ball and run that read option makes it so dangerous. And they can hold the linebackers up, and that's why they like to find the guys over the center of the football field.
Burke to his right. Pass complete, 35-yard line, first down. His favorite receiver is that man, Sherman Wilkinson, who last week had a modest couple of catches, but had him for 48 yards and scores.
And Wilkinson's the type of guy that really steps it up in the playoffs. He did that last year. Late in the year, he was very productive, and he has started that during the playoffs this year.
Burke's going to have to fall on it. It's a loss on the play of 7. This is such a precision-oriented offense. You don't see many gaps like that.
No, and you can see that ball wasn't too high. They had some problems and have during the year. Mitch Doherty, the center, has some problems snapping it back there at times, and because of that, Burke has had to take his eyes off from down the field, make sure he gets the football first.
Second and long, unusual spot for Burke. Makes one man miss, throws the receiver, got him inside the 35, ball knocked loose. But it'll be ruled an incompleted pass intended for Roman Namdar.
Take a look at Burke back there. Not a real big guy, but he's got some strength, and his running ability just shows you there. Be able to shake a defender off there, keep his eyes down the field, and throw a ball pretty good to a guy under pressure.
And Bretton Barnes, the defensive tackle for the Wolverines, nearly got to him. So Burke out of Westlake, Ohio, with a 3rd and nearly 18 yards to go. Penalty flag on the play. Throwing underneath on the coverage. It'll be short of a first down to Wilkinson. In fact, it'll be roughly about 6 yards short. Let's see what the flag is about. Matt Gallagher is our referee today. So you're Wesley. What's your decision here?
Illegal formation, offense, 5 men in the backfield, number 58. That penalty's 5 yards from the previous spot. It's still 3rd down.
Wolverines decide to take the 5. Last year it was a video game, 62-59. 8 touchdown passes, as we showed you the open throw by Callahan. In that game, Mount Union led 31-0 after 1 quarter.
And the numbers throwing the football are impressive, but the thing that really gets me is those 2 yards rushing for Wesley. If they're one-dimensional today, don't know if that's going to be a cause of success on this team. They're going to have to be able to run the football and be balanced against this Mount Union team.
And the good news is they're going to get the football here, as Scott caught the pass, but he is way short of the first down. Vince Karras takes over from Larry Karras. His dad won a number of national championships here. Vince has just 1 loss. It is the 1 loss in last year's championship. One-sided to Whitewater that has really motivated this team. And Mike Drass had a great line. He said, you know, when we got behind 31-0 last year, I was doing the math, and I figured they might score 124 before it was over. It's going to be spotted at the 17, so it's a punt of just 22 yards.
Yeah, Dad, you're saying that is a great line. He said he wasn't very good at math, but he knew it wasn't very good when he totaled it all up if it went 4 quarters that way. But they were really able to turn that around, and one of the reasons is Joe Callahan here in the touchdown passes that he had last year.
Well, we talked to coordinator Chip Knapp, as we did during the week. He says the thing about Callahan is that he's starting to understand there's just more than him and his offense out there. In other words, he's getting to get in touch with what the defense is doing and what they might simulate in certain situations. We'll talk his favorite receiver and his favorite running back in a moment on our impact players. On first down, they'll run the football. Steve Caduso, 88, is his best wide receiver. And along with Caduso, Jamar Baynard, in the backfield for his career, over 1,220 yards.
And I think he's going to be the biggest key today. Vayner's going to have to be able to run the football. You can see already on the first 2 plays of this football game, they've decided to keep it on the ground a little bit. Already more yards than they had last year, and I think that's going to be a big step and a key early. We'll see if they have success on the ground.
Yes, and we should qualify that because you already brought it up, just 2 rushing yards in 4 quarters last year. But when you're down by 5 scores in the first quarter, you really have to abandon something that's not going to allow you to get back in there quickly.
Yeah, well, that's why I thought it would be key. And, you know, as a quarterback, a former quarterback, that rushing game is such your friend.
It's first down.
You just need that ability to be able to mix it up and not let guys from Mount Union, they're so good on the defensive end to be able to put pressure on you. You can't allow them to just pin their ears back and come after you.
Dan Murray's our umpire today. Head linesman John Hartgrove, line judge Josh Beck, field judge Jordan Stope. Side judge is Jeff Strack, and our back judge Josh Dashers. And Sam Dudek is handling replay. He's been in the MAC for a number of years as well as the ACC, and he was reliving with us today the great days of the MAC, and Marshall and Chad Pennington and Ryan Leftwich and some guy named Randy Moss. Here's Callahan across the middle into coverage, incomplete.
Well, you saw Bryce Shade coming across that time. That ball was thrown right on the numbers that time. It looked like he didn't see the quarterback or didn't anticipate that ball. Hit him right in the hands, wasn't able to come up with it.
Mount Union showing 4 and maybe 5 on the blitz. They'll come with 5. On the jet sweep, they run to the near side. There is nothing available. Defensive attack led by Cody Pogarel. Plays that spur linebacker position, and they really stretch this out nicely.
Yeah, a lot of purple shirts to the outside that time. They pulled their right guard, tried to get him around the edge. In many cases, if you can get one block on the guy that's trying to hold that edge up, you can break it to the outside. Great pursuit by Mount Union's defense.
That's Nick Miller set to punt for Wesley. And he's hitting it. Not very deep, so each punter has struggled in the cold weather so far. And Mount Union is going to get a great spot on this around midfield. 4 minutes and change in. No score. Our matchup today, the Wolverines and Del Raiders. Let's take a look at how both teams are planning for success. Brought to you by Northwestern Mutual Life. And for Wesley, getting off to a good start is so paramount after last year.
Yeah, you mentioned 31-0 after the first quarter. A fast start will be big for them today, and they're going to have to win special teams. Anticipate a close football game today. A lot of times it comes down to special teams for the Purple Raiders. They need to win in the red zone. These teams will get down in that red zone often today. It's the team that can stand up defensively and make a stop.
Burke faking, Burke running. He's got the first down and then some. Still running with the football. They'll spot him out of bounds at the 24 after a pickup of almost 20. So Kevin Burke doing what he does so well, avoiding rush and then just taking off.
Oh, you're so right. We talk about his efficiency. His receivers were well covered to the outside, and he just kind of tucks the football, picks up yards, and that's why he is so dangerous, getting those extra yards with his feet.
Little hitch and go, heading it to the end zone. Ball is incomplete. There is a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage. So we've already seen 3 flags thrown in just the opening moments of this first quarter. The winner gets Linfield or UW
Offside.
Whitewater.
Defense number 9. That penalty's 5 yards. Still first down.
This is on Amir Petros, their outstanding defensive end for Wesley.
You mentioned it, pump and go, and that's something Mount Union will do. They're not afraid to throw the football deep. We've seen them go deep a couple times early. Back that defense off. That'll help the run game.
John, you talked about special teams already. A victory for Mount Union off the poor punt, starting this drive at the Wesley 45. To the end zone, touchdown! How quickly they strike. Luke Meacham, 19 yards.
Now watch this throw. What a pretty throw. Looks off to the left. You can see him hold the safety off to that side of the field and throws a perfect strike down the field. Luke Meacham, not the touchdown maker so much this year. He was an all-conference guy, honorable mention last year, and some other guys have really stepped up, but You want that big touchdown in the semi-football game. What a throw by Kevin Burke.
So Charlie Avila will snap, Tim Kennedy will hold, and Edward Runke attempting the extra point. 7-0 in favor of the Purple Raiders, and Kevin Burke throwing his 43rd touchdown pass and his 15th in the last 3 weeks. The NCAA Division III Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Some of the Laurel and Hardy fans here representing the Purple Raiders. I bet these folks have been coming here for a long time here, why not? Championship football, as we headlined it at the beginning, and the Raiders are off to a championship start in the semifinal game on a 19-yard catch and run for touchdown from Burke to Meacham. So Wesley gets another chance. Robert Wiggs, one of their return specialists, is deep, number 6. Runke to the 15. And Wesley will start this possession past the 25-yard line. Let's go back to Mount Union's drive moments ago, which was only 45 yards, but most successful.
And you go back to Kevin Burke and his ability to make something happen when the receiver wasn't open to the outside. He set him up for it, and then he threw a strike to Meacham. Touchdown maker last year, Meacham was 14 touchdowns on the year, just 6 this year. He actually led the team last year, so stepping up here in the semifinals early, had a touchdown catch last week too.
On first down, Callahan to roll out and throw. And a first down pickup to the 41-yard line. Good for 16 yards. Bryce Shade on the catch.
Play action fake and get Callahan outside a little bit, wide open, easy throw that time for Callahan, and Shade aggressive, physical at the end of that catch.
His 44th catch of the year, and they continue to throw the football. And this one also close to the first down markers. This one to perhaps his favorite receiver, Steve Caduso. Caduso with a career mark of 53 touchdowns. And against Mount Union last year, catches of 78 and 56 yards for scores. Football at midfield on 2nd and 1. And this is the area John said you must watch for today. Can the Wolverines run the football?
Well, they'll keep hammering it. You have to do it, even if they're stopping you a little bit, to make sure that you can hold those linebackers in. One thing for Mount Union, they are loaded at the linebacker position. So if you can make them stay active by staying inside, you get those quick throws to the outside and maybe have your guys that are real shifty receivers like Wesley has and try to break something.
2 first downs on 2 throws. And this one good for 7 yards on first down to Caduso. So with this drive, they picked up 2 first downs and now have themselves in a second and quite manageable. So this is the offense I think Wesley has won a show.
Yeah, and I like what they're doing there. You talk about that run to the inside and then get it to your playmakers quick to the outside. And when this offense, Wesley, starts going, they're much of an up-tempo offense, like to go fast.
Flag on the play. Callahan will run for the first down. Joe picks it up out of bounds to the 37. Let's see if it stands. As the line judge nearest to the Wesley side of the field threw the flag. So we're hearing from the man with the white hat a lot today so far, Matt Gallagher.
Illegal substitution. Offense number 88. That penalty's 5 yards from the previous spot. Still second down.
Instead of a first down at the 37, ball goes back to the 47-yard line.
You see Coach Drass there talking to his, I think it's probably receiver coach, because you said somebody came on the field late that time and at the very last minute didn't get inside and establish himself.
Callahan on 2nd and 8, and he's going to be swallowed up. No, he gets away. And now they get him inside the 39-yard line. He avoided coverage initially, and then Mike Furta put the hit on him, 86, with some help.
Tom Lally originally, they wanted to go deep that time. He had Steve Caduso on a wheel route to the outside. He was focused on him, but not able to get him. And instead of throwing the football away, he took a big sack there and backed his football team up.
36th sack of the year for Mount Union and a loss of 13. So look what the penalty did. Callahan had run for the first down. 3rd and long. Callahan in trouble again. Now avoiding the rush and he's got a receiver somewhere. Ball caught at midfield, so he's able to survive. It would have been a significant loss and actually pick up 11 on the play on the throw to Kyle George, but they're going to have to give the football up on 4th down.
Well, pressure to the outside. You just can't let somebody have a free run at your quarterback that time. It's like the right tackle not able to get out there quickly. That's Devin Fullerben. Devin Fullerben that time not able to stop the guy. When you have that much freedom as a defensive end to get out there and have pressure all day.
Callahan gets off a pretty good punt. Look at this. And unfortunately, Wesley did not get down there quick enough, perhaps anticipating the ball might slow up. And instead of it being down at the 1, football is going to come back to the 20, and this is unfortunate.
Yeah, the coaches on the sideline are really upset because they thought Steve Caduso had an opportunity to get down there and stop this football from going into the end zone, and he kind of let up a little bit.
Halfway through the first quarter, it is 7 for the Raiders and nothing for the Wolverines. Live today on E3, the Division III semifinals. I'll bet that's the Kyle George fan club right there, all bundled up. 2014 NCAA Division I football championship continues next weekend. Semifinals on December 19th and 20th. Both games on the Watch ESPN app. For more information, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. Well, John Gregory, I'm Jim Barber. Pleased to meet your acquaintance today in the semifinal game from Northeast Ohio. It is cold. It looks like we could have a foot of snow dumped here, even though that is not in the forecast. The Raiders can run the football, as you know, by the numbers last year, and that's Bradley Mitchell, who has already received a number of awards, and in 2013 ran the ball 24 times for 134 against Wesley.
Yeah, just a sophomore, too. Really came on after about game number 7 last year, and through the playoffs, he was so impressive and really just carried it all throughout this year.
He is all OAC first team. Burke on the keep, and that zone read John talked about, and he slides his way to the 40-yard line. That's a pickup of 11, and here come the Raiders.
Wow, nobody on the backside here. You can see him. He's reading the defensive end here. Gets a good block, and everybody was chasing receivers down the field, and man-to-man coverage opened it up for him.
Fake to Mitchell, across the middle, intended for Namdar, incomplete. Roman Namdar and Therese Scott have the unusual abilities to play quarterback, and in fact both have played. Namdar actually was a quarterback ahead of Burke on the depth chart a couple of years ago, so your backups are in the game all the time.
You know, typically they're the good athletes coming out of high school, and they get here and they want to have an opportunity to play, so they're willing to go out there and play wide receiver and do whatever they can to help a football team.
A strike to Wilkinson, and look, John, at the time that Kevin Burke is getting on that pickup of 11.
Offensive line very good in protecting him back there, and when Burke has time to be able to step up in the pocket, he's pretty accurate with the ball.
Doherty, as mentioned earlier, the starting center. The guards are Maloney and Brzudi. The tackles, Frank and Alex Goff. And they're holding the line so far as Burke operates from the shotgun. Checks down, and as he does it, he gets it to Mitchell, and Mitchell is close enough to another first down. Bradley Mitchell also can be on the receiving end, and that's the options Burke has. A lot of people he can throw the ball to.
And so many times quarterbacks will forget about the check down guy over the football. And when you have a guy that can run with the ball after the catch like he can, it's important to spot him up and find him.
Burke into that second line of defense, down to the 27. That's a pickup of 13 and another Mount Union Raider first down. The beat just keeps on happening for Mount Union.
Now they're going to have to put a guy on the quarterback here as he keeps going back to the same read, and that's an easy read for the quarterback as you see that defensive end just collapse after your running back.
Raiders operate without a huddle, averaging 59.5 points a game. Little jump pass to Namdar, ball is caught. Officials will confirm that's a catch down at the 10-yard line.
And I think the officials were a little unsure at that time. They were looking at each other to see if he got this foot in. And Namdar does a nice job here of raising one leg up to get that footing bounds. It looked pretty good.
Now Mitchell straight ahead, and before that happens, I wonder if we're going to have a review. Going back to the other play.
The previous play was ruled to be a completed catch. The previous play is under further review. There was no snap.
I know Mount Union would like to make things go as fast as possible, but there is that item in which plays of this significance in a very important game will be checked. And what do you think, John?
Well, let's take a look. Clearly, yeah, the ball's in his hand. That left foot is down. That's going to be a catch, but give him credit. They knew it was close. They went up to the line of scrimmage a little bit quicker than they normally do. Tried to get that play done, and you don't typically see that from this level as far as replays go. So they quickly got to the line of scrimmage, and this, in my opinion, is a clean catch.
Now, Roman Nabdar's got another year left along with Scott. And when Nabdar was quarterbacking back in 2012, he was 48 for 56 for 85%, 540 yards and 2 touchdowns. So next year, Vince Karras will have quite a decision to make as to which player will be the starting quarterback. The bigger concern right now for
after further
Mike
review,
Drass,
ruling on the field is confirmed.
Offense.
First and goal at the 10, Mount Union.
By the way, the Wolverines head coach Mike Drass also doubles as the defensive coordinator. And he was still kicking himself last year over the amount of points allowed, but in fairness, Callahan threw a lot of picks that resulted in points. In the red zone, Mount Union is scary. This is the 97th time this year they've been there, operating at 90% efficiency. Makes you wonder, what about the few times they didn't score? What happened there?
Yeah, you're talking about 65 touchdowns in the 95 attempts in the red zone, so 96 times.
On first and goal, Burke with plenty of time to the end zone. Touchdown! Sherman Wilkinson, who torched the defense last year for 3 scores in the playoffs, on the receiving end of a 10-yard touchdown throw there.
You talk about touch on a football. Kevin Burke has all the time in the world to throw this, and watch his patience as he waits and waits, and then look at him put the air underneath that ball. He sees the defender in front of him that time and just kind of lofts it over his head like he's playing pitch and catch with Wilkerson for the easy touchdown.
John, I don't want to scare away any viewers at this point because we're in the promotional business here on ESPN, but doesn't this have a feel of a Mount Union blowout?
Well, it's early in this football game. Wesley's been behind before, and it's a team that's not going to give up early. They'll continue to fight.
Runke, who this year is 90 for 92 in extra points, he's had a lot of practice with this offense, as Burke now has 2 scores, which ups his season total to 44.
Well, the touch on it all the time. If he's got that much time today, then this Wesley defense is going to be in big trouble. But again, I'm very impressed and watching from a quarterback perspective here as he just sitting there. He knows his receiver's open, then he just kind of floats it over the top, beats the defender for an easy catch, and that's just like warming up on the sidelines as far as tossing it to your wide receiver.
And you watch the offensive line on that play. Michael Frank and Brooks Jenkins slid the defense to the right side. Nobody had even a step close to quarterback Burke. And you watched him dance his feet, move his feet a little bit there, just waiting for a receiver to release. And this 8-play, 80-yard drive is now up the lead to 2 scores.
364 pass attempts for Kevin Burke this year. He's been sacked, or they've only allowed 17 sacks on the year. So that goes to show you how good of the protection that this Mount Union team has up front.
That's Bryce Shade, 85 deep for Wesley. Averages 24 yards a kickoff return. They'll keep it away from him and pop it up at the 25. Ball is loose. Mount Union is on it. And the Raiders are going to get the football again. That's 22. Will Heitschuh with a recovery. And the last thing Wesley needed to do here was cough up the ball, down 14-0.
Well, he said special teams would be pretty important in this football game, and it was a bad punt earlier that gave Mount Union the football in great field position, and now another turnover on the kickoff here, and this team already behind early in this football game can't afford it. A big hit as Mount Union creates another turnover in great field position.
Which means you and I do not have to flip our flow charts here. We're still on offense. Mount Union. from the 31-yard line. Burke pumping, throwing across the middle, picked off. A rare Burke mistake, his 5th of the year. After one turnover, the ball turned over back to Luke McGinnis. Wesley football at the 39-yard line. Well, that's so unusual for Burke, but McGinnis was right there in a great spot.
Now, sometimes as a quarterback, you just need to throw the football away. We say Burke creates so many plays. This time he wanted to go right. It was, again, a pump fake, looking deep, and he really just forced this in there. And McGinnis, right spot, right time. He's a student of the game. Real smart player here. He's following the eyes of the quarterback here, and it's an easy pick for him.
He's considered to be just a plug, a guy that fills the gap, but there, pretty solid defender. Callahan out, first down, broken up at the 45-yard line. Intended for Bryce Shade. And Cody Pogarel gets a hand on it and breaks up a pass, and that's what he does so well. He's broken up several this year.
Boy, how quickly did he close on that one? You can see that. He looked open when he let that ball go, and Pogarel got there in a hurry.
Now in 2nd and 10, Callahan throwing the football. Ball caught. 45-yard line, down at a 42, first down. Bryce Shade somehow found his way open for a pickup of 20.
Well, that's just an athlete making a play there. Joe Callahan fighting off a defender again, and you can see Mount Union just coming off the left edge quickly. Nobody blocking them. Callahan just improvising and making a big play for his football team.
Pass to
Caduso for a pickup of maybe 2 on the play.
By Trey Jones. Gain of 1, 2nd down.
It's a great opportunity now for Wesley to make a strike here in the first quarter.
A quick throw to the outside, hit him in the chest, give him an opportunity to run after the catch.
Mount Union coming with a blitz. Callahan throws it up for grabs and somehow avoided a sack and gets an incompleted pass on it. Well done by Joe Callahan, because that looked like trouble. Tank Spencer coming free.
Baynard, the running back here, does a nice job of playing defenses. It looked like they kind of flipped the script there as Mount Union looked to pick that off. And nice job playing defense while you're on offense.
Now 3rd and 10, shooting one down the field, and that is incomplete. Intended for Andrew Monahan. Joshua Scott back defending. This looks to be 4-down territory. Let's see if there's any contact before the ball landed.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a push-off. Cleared himself there, but he didn't even see the defender over his right shoulder that time. Well covered by Mount Union.
So trending in this game 14-0. This looks like to be the right decision, you think?
I certainly do. There's going to be a lot of points scored, and you got to join that parade.
Instead, Callahan does what he did before. And this one will land at the 11, so he gets credit for a punt of nearly 30 yards.
Near the 11-yard line. First down, Mount Union.
So Callahan has become the substitute punter today. And Mount Union will start this drive deep in its own territory, ahead on 2 Kevin Burke touchdowns. This is the drive chart for Mount Union after going, I guess you'd call that 7 and out. 7 plays, 14 yards. 2 scores on drives of 45 and 80, and then the pick was thrown by Burke that didn't do him any damage.
Yeah, a pretty good field position to start that thing, and the 2 turnovers here. And Mount Union, they're a team that can put long drives together and have throughout this year.
They'll run the football on first down.
Logan Namath with the football for the Purple Raiders.
Logan Namath, the ball carrier, wears 34. In his career, he has gained over 1,000 yards. You mentioned the offense of Mount Union. In fact, both of these teams have got basketball numbers in the playoffs and are averaging over 50 points each. Burke on 2nd down to Scott. Makes a man miss. Scott's got the first down, dragged out of bounds at the 27 for a pickup of 14.
Taken out of bounds by Derek.
Reese Scott, who could very well be the starting quarterback next year when Kevin Burke graduates.
Now, the one thing you're going to like about it, if he's in the quarterback spot, he's a physical guy. He's not going to be able to, won't be afraid to run that read option either.
No, sir. Burke out of the backfield releasing, and that's Scott for another first down. They'll mark him out of bounds at the 44 and a pickup of 16. So back-to-back first down throws, and it just looks like a scrimmage, a pitch and catch for this team.
Yeah, they get everybody going right that time, and they get Scott coming across the football. That's a great play call. I love the concept of that play. It really fools the defense.
Back to Logan Nemeth as a flag comes in. Nemeth got a couple on the play. Not the only Achilles heel today for Mount Union has been the penalty flags.
Making the tackle.
Nemeth is 5'9", 170 from the state of Michigan, McBain High School.
There's no flag on the play. Defense had 11 men on the field.
And just the number you're supposed to have.
Absolutely.
He takes a long time to let us know what's going on. We're waiting for him to tell us.
The defense could play with 10, but it's not preferred, especially if you're facing Mount Union.
Yes, I agree.
2nd and 7, strike across the middle. This could go for a touchdown, and it will. Tim Kennedy, 53 yards.
Well, just 18 catches in his career, and this may be one of the biggest here in the semifinals, and showed some great speed at the end of this catch. It's a guy that's a holder for the long snapper in this football game, and boy, he turned on the jets after he caught that ball.
Now Kennedy will catch his breath and hold. The extra point attempt by Edward Runke. 89-yard drive in very little time, and it is now 21-0 in favor of Mount Union. The only consolation you have if you're Wesley is that, well, we were down 31-0 last year and made a game of it.
Yeah, well, last time touchdown, we said his touch, the ability to throw it over the guy. There you can see the arm strength as Kevin Burke just steps up in the pocket and throws, guns it in there, in between two defenders, a perfect strike for the touchdown.
So 250 total yards for Mount Union in the first quarter as compared to 60 by Wesley. Think about the missed opportunities Wesley has had. Callahan ran for a first down to the 30 of Mount Union, negated by a penalty. Eventually they gave up the ball, and then they got a pick. Got the football in pretty good territory from the 35, couldn't muster anything from there. Also had a special teams kick that could have been down at the 1. Instead it went in the end zone. I'm being ticky-tacky here, but you get the idea. You almost have to play perfect football against Mount Union. You do, and it goes back to those special team mistakes, and you can't have that. That's the third part of it. Got to win on offense and defense, but Mount Union, you better win in all three phases. Shade to bring it back, and he's going nowhere, although he's running laterally, and that's exactly what Mount Union wanted. A little east-west running instead of north-south, and that football is going to be spotted inside the 10. A great pursuit that time by the kickoff team. It was Logan Nemeth that was actually flying down there. I thought maybe he got a block in the back as they were trying to break the kick return that time, but there you go. You see starters on this football team just giving everything they have to be part of the special teams, and that's what makes them special. From the 7, as you take a look at Mike Drass trying to figure out something with his defense that might work here. 3 punts, 3 offensive series. Callahan avoids the rush in the end zone and throws, and it's incomplete, intended for Shade. As he's trying to lead him past the defender, Cody Pogarel. Joe Callahan's already had a challenging first quarter. Now remember, last year he threw 3 first-quarter interceptions. This team was down 31-0 and eventually got within 1 score before it was over. But that was last year. And when you talk to the folks at Mount Union, they say, hey, we're better both sides of the ball this year. Despite getting rid of the pass, a loss on the play. And look at the pressure that Jonathan Gunnell was applying there, as well as the rest of his defense. Gunnell is kind of a run-stopper type guy. He'll step up there and make some plays, and this time he recognizes the screen, gets over there and covers it. That's what I talk about, the active linebackers for this Mount Union team. Great speed, great team speed on defense. Wolverines need 12 yards, and they need it badly to try to continue to keep the football. Mount Union drops 8 in coverage. Incomplete at the 22. And the Purple Raiders are going to get the ball back. Intended for Matt Bundy, the senior wide receiver from the state of Pennsylvania, and Meade. And the Raiders fans give a huge ovation to that defense that continues to pitch shutouts.
Oh, you can see the frustration already on this Wesley football team, a team not used to.
Nick Miller's kick is blocked, and that's going to go out of bounds in the red zone at the 10-yard line. Cody Pogarel, he's been mentioned a lot so far today. And with that block, it is 1st and goal from the 10.
Boy, a punter, you got to know when that rush is coming in, get rid of it as quick as possible. And another win for Mount Union on special teams here as they give their football team the ball on the 10-yard line. And boy, the hits just keep coming for this Wesley team.
Mike Draz has to be a bit stunned as head coach of Wesley. They had pointed to this game all year long and hoping to finally get over the Mount Union bump. And instead, they're down 3 scores and threatening to be down by 4. Kevin Burke has a 4-receiver set. He'll bunch the receivers to the near side. Scott goes in motion. Ball is loose. Burke's going to try to recover it. And fortunately for Mount Union, he did, but there's a loss on the play of close to 10 yards.
Boy, you just start scratching. Yes, when is something going to go our way that time? Great defensive play, and you have 2 guys after it. Heads-up play by Burke as he was able to get on it and save the ball for Mount Union, but Wesley had a great opportunity there to create another turnover.
Yeah, if it was going to go their way, number 10, Julian Jones, would have got it out of bounds and ran it back. Instead, Mount Union keeps the ball. 2nd down, receiver wide open. Touchdown. Burke did it again, his 4th throw and his 2nd. This one of 20 yards to Sherman Wilkinson. And the route is on.
We said out and up before. You could see Burke at that time. Looked like Wilkerson was going to stop to the outside. He just ran right by the defender, and another easy throw for Burke to get that completion and another touchdown pass.
Wilkinson had 2 touchdown receptions last week. He has already matched that here in the first quarter. Kicker Runke has been quite busy. This is his 4th extra point attempt. And his 92nd successful conversion of the year. Still a minute 12 remaining in the first quarter. It's already 28-0 on the arm of Kevin Burke.
Ladies and gentlemen, a reminder that NCAA
and Burke now for this game has thrown 4 touchdown passes, and for the season 46 throws for scores and just 5 picks. The interception earlier today.
If you make a mistake against this Mount Union team, boy, they're going to make you pay for it in a hurry. You get a turnover, they're going to go up top. They're going to try to put pressure on you immediately after the turnover. You've got to be ready defensively.
So if you're an optimistic Wesley fan, you say, all right, we got them right where we want them. Last year we were down 31-0. Now we're down 28-0. Probably not.
I go back to what you were saying, too. A man on this football team, you know, they remember that in the comeback, and they really, you know, although they weren't sure that they were going to play them, they figured maybe if they get to the semifinals again, it would be the Purple Raiders that they have to face. And sure enough, it came to pass, but this team expected a whole lot of different outcome in this first quarter today.
Well, the Raiders organization, the school has completed fund drives of $80 million and $25 million over the last 5 years. They just have extremely great support from the alumni base they have here. Diggs to return, makes a man miss. Can he get to the near side? Not very far. He's tracked down at the 20-yard line as we're winding down a very good first quarter for Mount Union and a disastrous one for Wesley. I said Diggs, Robert Wiggs, excuse me. And so now Callahan goes back on offense, and what can they hope to accomplish here?
Well, I think you have to establish something on the ground. They're trying to throw it. He's got no time to throw the football. Mount Union's defense has done such a great job up front of stopping the run. You know, where do you go? They've tried crossing paths. They've tried some screens. You've got to be able to run the football.
Short throw on first down, dropped by Matt Bundy.
Pass is incomplete. Intended receiver, Matt Bundy.
Wesley coming in, averaging 51 points a game. Shut out here in the first quarter. Last year, the Wolverines put 59 on the board before losing by 3 to the same Mount Union team. But 4 drives, 4 punts, and one of them was blocked. That one broken up at the line of scrimmage. Almost feels like there's a second or third defender out there for the Purple Raiders. Tom Talley got his mitts on that one.
Wow, tall defensive ends, quick off the edge, and their head up. Make sure you know where the quarterback is at all times, and that time just gets his hands up in the air and easily knocks it down.
Third down, where today the Wolverines have been 0 for 4. On the season, they're 46%. That one picked off, and it's going to be run back. Haitshu will recover the fumble moments ago in the kickoff. It's another turnover, and Mount Union in scoring territory again.
Well, tip drill, right place, right time here is Haitshu in a position. Nice job with his hands. You don't see defensive backs that have that ability to be able to react to it. Watch him reach out with that left hand and just snatch it out of the air.
Alex Kochev was back defending on the play. Callahan trying to explain it. His coordinator, Jeff Dart, his offensive coordinator, Chip Knapp, as they try to find something good to happen, and it hasn't happened so far. Burke with the football at the 28. They'll put it on the ground to Mitchell. Straight ahead running. Bradley Mitchell carries to the 20. You know, he is only 5'6", and you wonder, can the defense see him when he comes to the line?
Yeah, great question. He's got that big offensive line up front. You can see those big purple shirts up there opening up holes for the little guy to be able to scamper through.
Possibly the last play of the quarter. Give to Mitchell. And Mitchell picks up the first down, as this has been a first quarter clinic by Mount Union, even though the Raiders have turned the ball over and actually went, dare I say it, 4 and out on the first drive. 15 seconds remaining. Fake to Mitchell. Burke with time. Now Burke in trouble. Throws to the end zone. And incomplete. 5 seconds left. You know, I thought this would be the last play, but I forgot this is Mount Union. They could run 4 plays within a period of time.
Yeah, no sense in going on the sideline. You got a team on the ropes here. They're trying to get a knockout early in this first quarter.
And Vince Karras and his team, offensive coordinator Jeff Dart, have put themselves in position, particularly in the red zone when they're 3 for 3 with 3 scores. Burke across the middle. Or to the sidelines, and that went inside the 5 to the 3-yard line. And Luke Meacham already has a touchdown reception. That good for 12 yards. First quarter over, to which Wesley probably says, thank goodness. Kevin Burke has 4 touchdown throws, and they're right on the doorstep again. First and goal for the Raiders from the 1-yard line. Nemeth and Bradley, Mitchell in the backfield. Burke to Mitchell, trying to get to the end zone. Touchdown!
Mitchell in for the Purple Raider touchdown.
19 touchdown of the year for maybe the smallest person on the field. 5'6" Bradley Mitchell.
Pretty big heart, as you can see. He got hit initially, was stopped, and then he turned, and watch him fight to get that extra yard here as he was hit at the line of scrimmage, and then that second effort there gets him into the end zone.
5th touchdown of the day for the Purple Raiders. And this play, because of the turnover, was just part of a 5-play, 28-yard drive. Tim Kennedy to hold for Edward Runke. And today is 5 for 5 in extra points, and now 93 for 95 on the season.
Well, we said second effort. Originally he was stuffed at the line of scrimmage and just kind of twisted off of him getting into the end zone. You said he's not a big guy, but he's got very strong legs, and that's it. Drive, reach the ball over, easy touchdown for him on a second effort.
So with that 1 yard gain for score, Karras and company now have 288 total yards in this game, compared to 58 for Wesley. And after Mitchell's 19th score of the season, he gets a blow. And the Raiders will go back on defense, where they have been just as potent as this offense. Matt Bundy and Robert Wiggs are back for Wesley. Runkey, by the way, does punt and kicking and kickoffs. He is the man for all special teams for the Raiders. About 2 yards in. Wiggs bringing it back. And he gets swaddled up at the 12-yard line. On special teams, Zach Deere to make the tackle.
First down for the Wolverines.
Boy, great hustle on the special team, especially this kickoff team. And you got starters up and down that line going down here trying to make some plays. And that's the third time in a row they've been able to hold this Wesley kickoff return unit inside the 20-yard line.
When you talk to Mount Union people, as we did earlier in the week, and say, what creates all this magic here? Why so good, so often, so long, so successful in big games, minus the championship last year? So it's an emphasis and a focus on precision. All practices are precision-based. And we have not been witness to some of the practices, as this first down gain is for about 6 or 7 yards wide Baynard. But it almost reminds you of what Alabama must be like, or what the Packers were like in the 50s and 60s under Lombardi, that no mistake goes unnoticed.
Yeah, one of the things they talk about here, they call this place welcome to the machine. Well, that's what this team is. It's a machine, well-oiled. They know what to expect, and they expect to win each week.
After the Baynard gain of 6 yards, toss to James Okeke for the first down. There was a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Second down 3.
Again, Matt Gallagher,
Trey Jones,
our referee.
For
the offsides.
Offside. Defense number 96. That penalty's been declined. The result of the play is a first down.
Yeah, the result of the play was probably a yard or maybe 2 yards better. Take a look at Ted Rosalva, number 96, their defensive end. Football now at the 26. Clock begins again, early second quarter. Callahan to his right. Andrew Monahan. A lot of times those type of passes are in substitution for a run play.
Sure. Yeah, it's just an extension of the run game. Get it out there to a guy trying to make a play. But what's going to be important, I think, for Wesley on this drive is to give their defense a little bit of a break. Just try to move the chains, put a long drive together if you can. See if you can get some rest for the defense.
Callahan now 10 for 19 on the throw to Monahan. And on this drive, they picked up back-to-back first downs. Football at the 38-yard line. When they met last year, Mount Union won 62-59. This year, it is 35-zip. Okeke, incomplete.
Pass is incomplete.
Look at Hank Spencer getting pressure, number 4. Trey Jones, number 5. It's almost like these guys are living in a Wesley backfield.
Yeah, they just know that they're going to throw the football, haven't been able to run it. And because of that, they've just been able to get there in a hurry.
But you probably don't want to be like last year and abandon the run game completely, only because you want to keep your defense, as you mentioned, off the field, and you don't want to give up one of your options, because then Mount Union will likely drop 8, rush 3, and then you can't throw the ball at all.
Yeah, well, you know, we talk about those stats and only being able to run the ball 2 times last year, and, you know, that's how stats get so, you know, they stop them and they force them to pass. Down 35-0, you just abandon something, but you need to do it just to give your defense a rest, as you said.
Good second effort by Monahan. Let's go back to those numbers that we showed you moments ago on graphic by Callahan. I mean, these are national numbers in which he is ranked number 1 in passing touchdowns, passing yards, 3rd in the country in passing efficiency, and yet today his numbers are most modest against this Mount Union defense.
Well, that's a defense that you're talking about is one of the top-ranked defenses, and they say, what wins championships? Defense win? Well, there's a lot of offense, but this defense for Mount Union is tremendous.
On that play, they sent Goodell off the edge on the rush defense blitz, and running back Maynard able to pick up 3.
At the 48-yard line.
And it just missed on the edge rush. Make that poker route was coming in. It is 2nd and 7. 3 first downs on this drive, though, for Wesley. Needing points badly. Callahan at the sidelines. Ball caught. Caruso with a catch. First down to the 39-yard line. On the pickup of 11, Trey Jones was back defending.
Nice job this time, Callahan getting rid of the football before Caruso even came out of his break, and seems like Wesley getting a little bit of a rhythm here on offense.
Might be the right way to slow up that rush, is to try to get your defenders, or rather your receivers, into a little quicker spot by throwing the ball where it's supposed to be, because otherwise we have seen a lot of pressure on Callahan with very little time to get rid of it.
Yeah, you're right.
11th play of this drive, as John mentioned, important to keep the defense off the field. Ball is fumbled. Raiders got it back. Simple exchange there. And today, nothing has been simple for Wesley. 3rd turnover of the game. Mike Furter with a recovery.
And just ball handling here, as you could see Callahan pulling it out. He wanted to run the football that time, and see if the running back tries to grab the football, or if doesn't look like it. Looked like he just kind of slipped out of his hands after he pulled it from the belly of the running back. And boy, just when you have things going and you're moving the football, and you get the turnover.
Purple Raider defense has forced 34 turnovers. Movement, penalty flag on the play. Mitchell running to the outside, picking up the first down. Let's see if it stands.
Mitchell on the carry. Crosses midfield to the 49-yard line, but there's flags on the play.
It was a gain of 13.
And it was about everybody on Wesley's defense that jumped that time. Free play for Mount Union.
Offside. Defense number 94. That penalty's been declined. Result of the play is a first down.
Bradley Mitchell's just a sophomore. Again, we told you he stands at 5'6", 165 pounds. As you look at defensive lineman Peyton Rose, who was one of those offsides. And Mitchell's not afraid of contact. He's a little guy. Now he's set up as a receiver as Burke throws long. Got a man. Intended for Roman Nabdar, who almost hauled it in for a score.
Connolly on the coverage.
Nabdar missed his senior year of high school due to a knee injury. But in high school, and this won't surprise you, John, he was a track star.
Yeah, well, you could see the speed, the explosion at the end of that. He saw the ball in the air. Tough to outthrow him, as he's got that great speed that you're talking about, but Burke with a nice arm.
On 2nd and 10, that one nearly picked, intended for Jordan Hargrove.
Third down.
Zane Campbell, the left corner, operating in the right corner spot. What was in his hands? 3rd and 10 from midfield. Mount Union by 5 touchdowns. Burke, first down. Sherman Wilkinson with a catch. He needed 10, he got 12.
First down.
Burke does such a good job of coming back to the other side of the football field. He wanted to go to the left side that time. Everybody was covered. And again, you got to give credit to that offensive line, the time to be able to come back and make the long throw.
Now Mitchell gets a block, and now running to the outside. He'll get another block. Mitchell still spinning with the football. Bradley Mitchell still going, and he is down at a 17-yard line, a gain of 20. Well, John, you said he's 5'6". But he plays with a whole lot of heart.
Yeah, you said he got some blocks down the field. Look at that guy out in front of him, number 10, his quarterback that time, out trying to get a block. You can see he kept going. Mitchell keeping his eyes on the field. He's an exciting runner.
2 more years to go in this team as they punch it out to Scott. Reese Scott on the receiving end. If you're just joining us, Kevin Burke has throws of 19, 10, 53, and 20 for touchdowns. Mitchell has a 1-yard touchdown run. 2nd and 4 from the 11. Give to Logan Nemeth.
Nemeth with the football.
And Nemeth carrying inside the soccer zone there. You can see by the yellow lines and circle.
3rd down and less than 1.
It is now 3rd and less than a yard. And Nemeth, I don't think he got it. Or did he?
On the carry.
Looked like he was tied up behind the line of scrimmage, then he surged ahead, and he is going to be short. So it is 4th and 1. Kevin Burke, quick look to the sidelines. No huddle, ready to go. The backfield of Nemeth and Mitchell. He'll give it to Mitchell. And Mitchell lunging ahead. I don't think he got it. Wesley able to come up with a defensive stand pending the spot.
You know, I think they'll look at this thing as a fumble, even if he didn't get it. He came up short.
Nice job by the defense of the Wolverines. They didn't make a stand. 92, Terrence Gavin, the backup defensive tackle. And who would have thought on 2nd, 3rd, and short for 4th as well, the Mount Union couldn't pick up a first down.
Now, give Wesley a lot of credit defensively that time for standing up in that situation. You know, driving again with the score as it is, down 35-0, and they, you know, have the heart to be able to fight that thing. So give them a lot of credit there.
So the offense takes over from its own 10-yard line. Callahan will throw from the end zone if he can. Incomplete.
Callahan's pass is incomplete.
Intended for Steve Caduso. Caduso is not a particularly big guy. He stands at 5'9", 177. But coming in 53 touchdown receptions, he is definitely that team's home run hitter.
And you mentioned the numbers from last year in that game against Mount Union. Had 273 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game.
Now 3rd and long coming up. We are 5 minutes into the 2nd quarter. Jim Barber with John Gregory. Threw a lot of touchdown passes when he was at Marshall.
And this ball was very catchable too. It looks like maybe he stopped before Callahan anticipated him coming across the field that time, and he stopped. And as a quarterback, that's never a good thing when you anticipate a guy running, threw it out in front of him.
James Okeke, Bryce Shea, the receivers to the near side. Callahan throwing, ball caught.
Yes, it's complete to Caduso.
Steve Caduso, a pickup of 27 yards, huge for Wesley here on 3rd down.
As the ball's moved to
Boy, what a pretty throw this time. He threw the corner right over the top of the defender. That time, the only place he could have thrown that football, and he just led him to the outside. That's one of the best throws all day by Callahan.
And a receiver on a middle linebacker. It was a good matchup as Goodell made the stop. And Mount Union now will use a timeout. It's first of the first half, and we'll step aside. This is one of the 2 semifinals of NCAA Division III football. John, everybody dressed comfortably and I think appropriately today for 32-degree weather. This game has not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Special teams have seen fumbles in the game. A rare Kevin Burke pick. A block kick which set up the Purple Raiders in a great field spot. And then Joe Callahan broken up in the line of scrimmage and then throwing an interception. And then that exchange between quarterback and running back Baynard. Right now the football is at the 36. It's 1st and 10 for Wesley. Here in the 2nd quarter. The winner gets Linfield or Wisconsin Whitewater. They fake the end around. Callahan throws. Out of bounds at the 42 to Andrew Monahan.
Pass complete to Monahan.
Monahan, who played his high school football in the state of New Jersey. Wesley offense today, 4 punts, 2 fumbles lost, 1 picked, punt blocked. It's an ugly looking resume.
Yeah, that's a recipe for really failure right there. But you know, a lot of time in this game, they can turn it around.
Broken up at the line of scrimmage. That's happened a couple times today. as the Purple Raiders are getting a lot of good defensive pressure. And give Mike Furta, who's been around the ball a lot, 86, putting up that right hand.
Mike Furta.
Boy, he's the guy that leads this team in sacks, and when you don't get to the quarterback somehow, get your hands up in the air. Combination of him and Lally.
Third and short, Callahan to the near side. Throwing on the run, and it is incomplete.
Pass incomplete. Intended for a gainer.
Hank Spencer put the pressure on Callahan as they have been blitzing, particularly on third down. It's a good down for them to send pressure, and coordinator Chris Kappas, well, that's what they enjoy doing the best, and that's when you like to bring that extra defender after the QB.
Yeah, and Callahan rushed out of the pocket, as you said, really made a nice throw down the field, and they weren't able to come up with the catch that time.
We'll get back to business here in a moment. 9:07 remains in the first half. A cold, chilly December day in Northeast Ohio. Wesley College is the state's oldest private college, established in 1873 in Dover, Delaware. Enrollment of 1,500 plus, has 30 bachelor's, 4 associates, and 4 master's programs, 8 women's sports, and 7 men's sports. Still seeking its first national championship appearance in football, therefore still seeking its first national title. That's the head coach right there, Mike Drass, who again also serves as defensive coordinator. From the 32, and a drop behind the line of scrimmage. They'd set pressure,
With the football.
and as a result, loss on the play. Jamal Johnson getting his first carry as a substitute running back today.
Capopula coming off the edge quickly that time. We haven't been able to say his name a lot so far today, but leading tackler on this football team.
TFL, tackle for loss for 3 yards. That pass incomplete.
Pass incomplete, intended for Kennedy. Third down, 13.
Nice to see Wesley's defense with the stop last time down there in the red zone to be able to get a 3-and-out here situation if they can do that, and maybe try to get some type of offensive confidence going. They had a nice drive going before they turned it over.
Burke now 15 of 23 for 245 and 4 scores. Wilkinson incomplete, caught the ball, caught it out of bounds at the 40, would have been short of the first down by 2 yards.
Finally on the recovery.
Nice concentration for Wilkinson here, and probably would have came down in bounds had he not been forced out by the defender that time. Great play defensively to at least get him out of bounds and not let him come down with the catch.
And the defender on that play was the boundary corner Leon Jones. Here's Sean Hopkins back to get the punt from Edward Runke. It is high end over end. Fair catch being called for at the 34. That's where this drive will begin for the Wolverines after a punt of 37 yards.
Take over first down.
Well, let's see what Wesley can do here. You see Callahan coming out there again, drawing some things up. You know, they have to build on that last drive. Yes, they turned the football over. You know, ball got out of Callahan's hand, but they did a couple good things there, got the chains moving a few times. Let's see if they can do it again.
I wonder, too, about the Wesley psyche to this point, trailing 35-0, John.
Yeah, they certainly would do wonders to be able to get a couple touchdowns on the board before this half ends.
Callahan in trouble. Penalty flag on the play. He is dumped behind the line of scrimmage. He did get rid of the football. Of course, one question is, was he out of the tackle box because there was no receiver close to the ball that he threw? Flag was thrown prior to the play developing.
And I think it may be in a hands to the face or maybe a face mask on an offensive lineman as the defender was trying to rush up inside.
Here's Matt Gallagher. You may not recognize him. He doesn't have his white cap on for the moment. But it is the referee.
We have 2 fouls on the play, both on the offense. Personal foul, number 54, illegal hands to the face. That penalty's been declined. We have intentional grounding, number 14 in the offense. That penalty's a spot foul. It's loss of down. I apologize. It's going to be second down.
Well, you're correct. It is loss of down. We'll show, first of all, the violation on left guard Matt Schmidt. He's number 54 in your picture.
Yep, gets his hands to his face. I thought I saw that while it was live. And then, of course, you want to take that penalty with loss of down. More importantly, you lose that down versus the yardage there. So, nice job decision-wise for Mount Union.
Yeah, quarterback Callahan never got out of the tackle box. Loss of 20 and the down. He's got a receiver. Ball caught. Terrific catch just past the original line of scrimmage by Shea. That's good for 26 yards. Check that. That's 84 Monahan, and that was huge.
Wow, those are 2 great throws on the corner that he threw in the previous possession as he made a big completion down the field, and then that fade up the sidelines right there, laid out nicely by Callahan.
So it is now 3rd and 8. Much more manageable territory after being down from the intentional grounding penalty. Empty backfield. They'll look for that coverage again on the side, and it's incomplete. Well, it worked one time. Why not try it again? Intended for 6-foot Matt Bundy, who was running pattern along the sidelines.
Yeah, well covered by Trey Jones. Jones leads this team in interceptions, and his ability to play man-to-man coverage out there, that's the matchup you want if you're Mount Union's defense. They blitzed and played man-to-man coverage and had a great matchup.
That punt's not going very far. There was great pressure from Mount Union on the rush. And once again, off special teams, the advantage Mount Union. 35-0 halfway through our second quarter. Our live coverage of the Division III football playoffs rolls on. John, the smartest person in this picture is underneath the blanket.
Certainly the warmest, maybe.
Yes, sir. As play resumes, football at the 47 of Mount Union. Raiders up 35-0. That's Kevin Burke, along with Joe Callahan, the quarterback counterpart for Wesley, up for the Gallardi Trophy. That's the most valuable or best player in Division III. Heisman is set to be settled here shortly for FBS as we look at the comparison of the 2 quarterbacks today, and Burke has had the better day, certainly, with 245 through the air and 4 scores. Man back in the area to protect the quarterbacks, number 4, Bradley Mitchell. Fake to Mitchell, pressure. Burke throws, has a receiver, first down Namdar at the 40. Roman Namdar gets 13 on the play, and Burke, for this half over, maybe well over 300 total yards throwing.
Yeah, again, plenty of time to throw. It steps up here and makes a good throw to the outside. And you can see receivers do a great job here catching the ball in their hands.
At the 39-yard line of Wesley. Look at that burst by Bradley Mitchell. Mitchell carrying for a first down and a pickup at 10. Last year against Wesley, this kid with that great agility had 24 carries for 134.
You get the feeling that this Purple Raiders offense could, if they wanted to, just run the football all day, too. They've got such a great line off up front for them.
Burke over the middle might have been intended for Luke Beecham. It was
2nd and 10.
In the general area of the pass, and it looks for one of the few times that the quarterback or receiver might not have been on the correct page. Or was it just a bad pass by Burke? Didn't lead him correctly.
Yeah, Burke will probably tell you that he threw that behind him there. It looks like we may get a timeout here by Wesley as they were confused with the number of guys they had on the field.
Timeout, Wesley. That's our first charge timeout of the half.
Well, it's interesting. Our official, Matt Gallagher, actually pointed to Mount Union for the timeout, but It is a Wesley timeout. Let's review the work of Kevin Burke in the first half, which includes 4 touchdown throws, and he has been on money today. First off to Luke Meacham, and then after that, finding a wide-open Sherman Wilkinson in the back of the end zone. Then a 53-yard strike to Tim Kennedy. And his 4th throw of the game right here to his right, diving catch Wilkinson. It's been a Gallardi Trophy-like first half for him, hasn't it?
It has been, and just the way he's gotten it done. Soft passes with soft touch and the ability to just gun it in there on a post pattern. You saw 4 touchdowns there, 2 balls that he really threw in there pretty hard, and then 2 he just had great touch on.
He has also rushed the ball 5 times for 42 yards. In comparison, the Wesley offense, 10 carries, 10 yards rushing the football. That was job 1 coming in today, and that job has not been completed. Burke with time across the middle. He's got Meacham. Makes a great catch at the 10. Luke Meacham got popped, held on to the football for a pickup of 18.
Now, Meacham's having a heck of a day. We said be able to catch the ball in your hands, and that's a great example there as he goes up at the high point, able to grab it and pull it down, and as a receiver, you knew he was coming.
Straight ahead, quarterback Burke, touchdown!
Touchdown,
41-0 Mount Union.
Boy, I'll tell you, when they go up tempo there, they have a big play throwing the ball down the field, and they quickly get to the line of scrimmage, and again, just a great read by Burke. Really an easy read by Burke. There was no defender out there at all, and it's kind of a walk into the end zone for him.
So for second-year coach Vince Karras and the Mount Union Purple Raiders, this has been a first half for the books, even better than last year. Extra point, perfect. Runke today, perfect, 6 for 6. 42 first half points, and I don't think anybody anticipated this coming in.
No, I certainly didn't. I was talking about a defensive struggle out here today, that they would play very well defensively, as you see Burke just kind of walk into the end zone here as no Wesley defenders out there keeping an eye on the quarterback, and just an easy touchdown. But I go back, this Mount Union defense is playing well today, but so far Wesley's defense has just really not shown up.
It has been shredded, and John, these are Oregon-like numbers, the 6 touchdown drives, a half minute, less than 2 minutes, minute 8, 37 seconds, 54 seconds, 51 seconds.
Getting it done in a hurry. And that's coming, you get some turnovers, or as soon as that change of possession comes, this team comes right after you. And then if they get a long completion down the field, then they really push the tempo as you're just trying to get settled in on defense.
As you saw by the numbers over our score in the graphic, 10 points allowed for Wesley today. It has given up 42. That's 10 for a game. This drive will start from the 25-yard line. 6:53 remaining in the first half. 2 timeouts remaining for Wesley College.
At the 25-yard line.
The defense today has allowed nearly 400 after giving up just 228. When we talked to the radio folks today at Mount Union, they made an interesting point. Rick was telling us that he thought the teams come in here thinking they can win, but then realizing as the game goes along, this is far more than they bargained for.
Yeah, what was interesting, what he said is, if you have somewhat of a game that you have success at Mount Union, you think you're close to them and the ability to be able to play with them, and then they just reload every year. There's some guys on this football team that were starting last year that are not even starting this year. The guys just come in and replace them, so that's how they have that success you were talking about, the ability to win every year. They just get great players.
Yeah, that's a good point about guys moving up and down the depth chart here because of the talent level. Going to set up a little screen pass here, and could do so, able to make the catch. He was close to the marker.
Tackled by Alex Hubble and Trey Jones. First down.
And it is good enough to pick up the first down.
The other thing about this Mount Union team, you've been to the championship every year. You'd think there's some complacency setting in. You know, we've been there, we can just get there. That's not the case with these guys.
I would think from their fan standpoint, it's a sense of entitlement. We're entitled to be in the finals, so let's book our reservations in Salem every year a little early to get a discount.
Yeah, that may be the case with the fans, but the players certainly know what they have to do on the field, and it shows by margins of victory that they have and their ability to play in these big games.
Well, there was conversation last year after Mount Union got popped in the finals by Wisconsin Whitewater. That one is caught at the 37-yard line. Nice job by Callahan to try to buy a little time and finally found a receiver in the right position.
Kyle George, the tight end here, just goes up in the middle of a crowd. Does a nice job coming down with it there. And maybe Wesley can get something going here late at the end of this second quarter.
Callahan keeps the ball one of the few times today he's actually rushed it. And he is met by a host of tacklers there. Hank Spencer was up there.
A gain of 3, second down.
31, Alex Kochev. Still enough time, certainly to mount a scoring drive and try to dent the board for the first time today. Callahan. Pass caught, first down. We'll spot the 24-yard line on a throw to Caduso.
Well, the one thing about Mount Union's defense is they're right on you. You make a catch, they're not going to give you the opportunity to run after the catch. Something Wesley's been able to do this year is, catch the ball and pick up some yards after that. But this Purple Raiders defense just swallowing up these receivers after they make a catch.
This one picked off, and it could go all the way back. Trey Jones in open field. He will score. Touchdown, Mount Union. He jumped the route and went all the way. 85 yards. Mount Union just looks scary today.
Their defense, that's his 10th interception of his career, and that's the 6th of this season. You said as soon as he had that, there was a lot of green grass ahead of him, just one guy to get him, and you're asking an offensive lineman to try to tackle a defensive back. That's a mismatch, and a touchdown for Trey Jones, put another one on the board for Mount Union.
Edward Runke for his 7th extra point. He has been perfect today. Just a shade under 5 minutes remaining in the first half in a clinic. A team that has been to the national championship game each of the last 9 years. And I think we can go out on a limb right now.
You're going to early call it?
And call it that they're going to make their 10th appearance next Friday night.
Well, 5 turnovers to 1, any indication that this football team does not lose when they win the turnover battle, that's for sure. And 5 turnovers today for Wesley. Mount Union is going to win it almost all of the time.
And Vince Karras, just his 2nd year as head coach. His father, Larry, serves as AD here, the former head coach. In fact, Larry is usually on the sidelines but away from the action, taking it all in. And it's a family affair at Mount Union. All the coaches have either played here or served in some graduate assistant job and become part of this great coaching staff. And in fact, there's been a marriage within the family lately as well, which has tied them even closer together.
Yeah, well, you say it's all about family and being together, and that's tradition, and that's what this football program is all about, is tradition.
And I wanted to know the inquiring mind that I had during our conference call, always have. What do you guys talk about when you get together for these family doings? Thinking that maybe crochet or knitting or something like that. Well, it's football.
It's football. Yep.
Vince Karras is the 2-time OAC Coach of the Year. He had 14 wins last season, and the Raiders are right there for their 14th win this year. He had 13 years on the staff, 8 as defensive coordinator. So, a former DC like him has got to take great pride in how Trey Jones jumped the route and then went all the way home from 85 yards out.
Yeah, you think of the success that his dad had here, and you talked about pressure on the phone conversation this week. Is it winning every year pressure? Imagine having to replace your father with all that success, maybe that's as much pressure as anything.
It is also interesting, too, that when they lost last year, and they lost in a big way to Wisconsin Whitewater in the championship, that the team and coaches huddled at the end of the season to try to rededicate themselves. You would think after a season that was nearly perfect that there wouldn't be that great angst, but losing one in the biggest game of the season for a team that's used to winning had them do a little refocusing. They set up the screen, and Mount Union snuffs up that screen. Jonathan Gannell from his Mike linebacker spot has had a very active first half. Well, hails out of Pembroke Pines, Florida.
He is just so quick to the football. He's a guy that really reads the run defense pretty good. I mean, he'll stuff it inside, but his ability to recognize, and that's what he's doing, is he's reading the running backs, and he's getting out there in a hurry to stop those screens.
It is 3rd and 13. Here comes pressure off the edge. They pick it up. Callahan, though, will eventually be sacked. Jonathan Gannell, who else? Number 8. Right in the middle of things. A particularly big kid at 5'11", but has been most active so far.
Well, a lot of twists up front by this defensive front that time. As you saw, Gannell, the linebacker, just really looped to the outside and trying to confuse this Wesley offensive line.
Tim Kennedy back to receive the punt at midfield. As you take a look at Mr. Gannell. And this is Nick Miller punting yet again. Low line drive kick. Kennedy wisely backs off as this one will roll 5 yards away from him. And they'll down it at the 44 after a punt of 36. At halftime, John and I will review what's coming up later in ESPN3 coverage in the semifinals. And in that matchup, it's a home game for Wisconsin Whitewater. I was there a few years ago, John. They love their football there as well, and they are so tough at home, taking in Linfield, one of the 4 semifinalists.
Yeah, names that you certainly recognize, and regardless of who gets in there, should be a great championship game as it is every year.
That'll be on the U Friday night, the Stag Bowl. 11 national championships for Mount Union, gunning for a 12th. Should mention, too, the Whitewater staff, the head coach, and 4 of their assistants are going to Buffalo next year to coach the Mid-American Conference after Jeff Quinn was surprisingly fired during the middle of the season. And Whitewater has 5 titles, and, of course, they won one last year, 52-14 in defeating Mount Union.
You know, and I think that's a great move, too.
Burke in trouble, penalty flag on the play, and the ball is broken up.
You see so many times these schools trying to hire guys from programs with maybe that are a step above what they are as far as 1A coming down to the FCS football. I like when those smaller schools, Mid-American Conference schools, give those guys an opportunity.
Personal foul. Illegal hands to the face. Defense, number 9. That penalty is 15 yards to the previous spot. Automatic first down.
I was saying that give those guys an opportunity at this level that have had success. They know the formula of winning. Give them an opportunity. They can take it to that level.
You think about the success of Jim Tressel when he went to Ohio State, Brian Kelly to Central Michigan on to Notre Dame. A lot of that success was based on smaller college football and winning in the playoffs. Gavin Burke on first down, that might have been tipped to the line of scrimmage intended for Luke Beecham. And now recently, Nevada, Las Vegas is considering hiring a high school coach, very successful in the Nevada state area. And it's taking a chance, I guess any high school coach is, but the fact is, the guy who wins, why not give him that chance to step in?
You know, and it seems like some of the Texas schools, you know, they'll do that. As big a football is in the state of Texas, it's like playing small-time college football in high school there.
Burke on a strike to Namdar for a first down at the 25. 15-yard pass completion. 2:43 remaining in the first half, and if it matters, 2 timeouts remaining for Mount Union. It's Jamal Johnson, his second carry of the game.
Capapula leading the tacklers.
hit pretty hard that time. Capapula, mentioned his name a few times. South Region Defensive Player of the Year. He's just a very physical player year after year, the senior.
Tall, lean, athletic, and run with anybody. Burke on second down. That's Scott. To the end zone, touchdown. A 22-yard strike to a former quarterback.
Well, no let up for Mount Union. If you think they're just going to run the football and try to chew up some clock, that's not the case. They want to put some points on the board. They know what happened last year, and really maybe trying to make a statement here in the first half. Is last year we kept talking about the comeback for Wesley. They're going to say not this year, not going to happen.
4 touchdowns, John, in the first quarter, now 4 in the second. And you would guess at this point that Vince Karras will call off the dogs, because this one is easily salted away. And we still have 2 minutes remaining in the first half. And here's Burke once again on his 5th touchdown throw on the slant.
Another one of those where he just fires it into a receiver, and impressive. Scott, the ex-quarterback, I say ex, could be the next.
Sure.
Ex this year, next next year.
Ex the next, yes. Well, if you're Mike Dress, I mean, this is hardly the day he had dreamed up. He'll still continue to coach him and try to find ways to answer what Mount Union is doing, but you have to think the confidence level of Wesley has got to be extremely low at this point. Little has been established here in the first half of any success.
And you saw him talking to his leader over there on the defense, Capapula, as he kind of put his arm around him. You know, you feel for a guy like that. A lot of these defensive players talked about the team chemistry that they had on defense this year. After everything they went through last year, working out all summer together, a lot of them stayed at school to work out together and in anticipation of possibly playing Mount Union another time.
As you're probably aware, if you watch a number of football games and tune into SportsCenter occasionally, Alabama Birmingham is giving up its football program after this season. In fact, the season has already ended, so football is done there, and we'll hear from Gene Wojciechowski of ESPN on that, and John will weigh in because John was with a football program that also gave up the game and actually led John to transfer to another school. Well, I won't spoil halftime for everybody, but it's a good story.
Yeah, sad to see that program go down, guys. Put a lot of heart, sweat, and tears into a program, and you get into the middle. Not bad if you're a freshman. If you're into your junior year, senior year coming up, tough to leave and transfer to another school and things, but really feel for those guys.
I did too. There was a 5-yard penalty on the play, which bumps the ball up to the 30-yard line. Joe Callahan continues to quarterback, number 14, for the Wesley Wolverines. Wesley still with 2 timeouts remaining. Jamar Baynard last week carried the ball for 21 times, 78 yards, couple of touchdowns. Must be a long-time memory for Wesley, how successful it has been in the playoffs prior to today's game.
Yeah, I go back to the early turnovers in this football game, and that's really kind of set the tone early. You just cannot turn it over against Mount Union, and they're going to beat you up physically and mentally as they start to get you down.
And you look at Nick Rodriguez coming in from his second line of defense position to make that open field tackle, so the defense headed up by Chris Campus of Mount Union has hardly put this game on cruise control, even with a 8-score lead.
Yeah, that's just an example there too, as you say, the ability to stop the guys after a catch. No time to run the football. They are right on top of you, even if you make the completion.
Under 1 minute remaining in the first half. Under 1. Union comes with a 6-man rush. Callahan's got to get rid of it. Got a receiver. Canuso still going with the football. Steve Caduso with a catch down to the 44-yard line. 26 yards, and Callahan, nice job avoiding the rush, and Steve Caduso, nice catch and yards after the catch.
Well, it doesn't come easy as Callahan is making that completion, falling back, and seeing some good arm strength there as he gets it out to Caduso.
Purple Raiders making a late substitution in Tom Lally, and apparently they were not ready for the next offensive snap by Wesley, so they'll use a timeout with 35 seconds to go. Let's talk about the Purple Raiders at the University of Mount Union. Established in 1846 in Alliance, Ohio, which is where we're at. It's a private Methodist liberal arts school, an enrollment of 2,250. It plays in the OAC. Tuition here is roughly $40,000. Non-scholarship program. NCAA record in football, 85-14. This is the 100th tournament game for Mount Union and 11 national championships. Need we add anything more?
I was going to say, that circle that 11 down at the bottom. When you're talking about football, boy, it doesn't get any better than that.
And again, it's a reason as some of the people who are in charge of funding and donations here that they've been able to build and improve athletic facilities, health and medicine areas, businesses, programs here that may have been underfunded at one point and been able to establish them and just build a lot of really nice camaraderie among graduates. Callahan shooting one down the field for Caduso, nearly picked off by Jones. I mean, when you raise funds for $100 million in a short period of time, two separate funding campaigns, you've got some back.
Yeah, and you'll talk about at halftime. You'll see it in the piece with UAB trying to raise funds and how much money they needed for a program, and you can see a school like Mount Union being able to do a lot of things to help its athletic program.
There's a look at the stadium on a gray northeast day.
Pass intended for Monahan, incomplete.
Middle of December as we approach the holidays, and now we're to 4th and 10.
They're down 10.
We have the field turf that they play on it. Some great field position prior to the game. I thought it was a little bit foggy coming in, and I think we still have some of that hanging over the stadium.
You see the press box there, and then an area where they can bring some recruits in and really kind of show off all of their championship rings and championship trophies. It's a pretty impressive room.
Yeah, actually, it's still 3rd down. Callahan stepping up. Callahan throwing. Down the field in a man coverage and picked off. The 5th turnover of the day. This time it's Cody Pogarel with a pick. So 5 Wesley turnovers, and this one negates a scoring drive.
You just look at the athletes Mount Union's rolling out there. Pogarel listed almost as a linebacker. He's running down the field in a safety spot, covering a guy down the field man-to-man, and able to go up and make the catch at the end, create another turnover for Mount Union.
Hope to get a word in with Vince Karras here at halftime, the head coach of Mount Union, as the first half has come to an end. Purple Raiders en route to their 10th consecutive national championship game. Vince Karras and the Purple Raiders have been splendid here in the first half with a 56-0 lead. Joe Callahan and Wesley will have roughly a 20-minute break to try to figure out, first of all, how to keep the ball away from Mount Union, in which in this first half the offense and special teams were forced into 5 turnovers.
And with those turnovers, you look at it, since 1996, this team's 145-0 when they win the turnover battle. So if that goes to tell you what's going to happen in the second half, that may be an indication.
Second year for head coach Vince Karras. Good enough to join us here at the break. And Vince, let's talk first of all about your quarterback, Kevin Burke. Why so effective in the first half with 5 scores?
Well, he was ready to go. He had a good week of practice, and he's peaking at the right time right now, and he's playing great. It was a good start for us.
Your team has forced 5 turnovers in this game. Let's talk a little bit about that and Why has that been a successful part for you?
Well, we're doing a good job of taking away big plays, and kind of just taking what they're giving us. We're doing a good job breaking on the ball and trying to dig some balls off of them, and got one on the kickoff there, and that's been huge here in the first half.
And before we let you go, what do you say to your troops? They had 56-0 at the break.
We got to keep our foot on the gas. I mean, we obviously had a game like this last year, and they got right back into it, and they're the type of team that could. So we got to keep our foot on the gas here.
Vince, we appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's step away, and we'll talk about what's coming up in the rest of the playoffs here on E3. At the break, the rematch so far has been no rematch. 56-0 Mount Union. For next weekend, we'll also look at UAB's football program that has been dissolved. Stay with us today. Our live coverage continues from ESPN3. Welcome back to the NCAA Division III Football Championship, which is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Jim Barber and John Gregory as we get set for the start of the third quarter. The Wesley Wolverines will get the football first. They're in the visiting white unis. The purple and black belong to the Raiders of Mount Union. We showed you first half highlights. Now here are the first half statistics. Heavily in favor of Mount Union with a total of 433 yards. And what sticks out again, John, is the lack of running game for Wesley like it was in last year's quarterfinal game with Mount Union.
Yeah, without a running game, it's certainly you can't keep this Mount Union defense off balance. And 5 turnovers, that'll beat you in any football game, regardless if you're playing Mount Union or anybody else.
And in the red zone, Mount Union is 5 for 6 today. And on the season, they have now been in the red zone 102 times and have scored 91 times. It's just an incomprehensible number. But at the break, if you're with us, Vince Karras told us we're not taking the foot off the pedal. I don't think that necessarily means he wants to run this up to 100. I think he wants to still find the intensity that he had from his team in the first half, and that will be a pleasant challenge. So the second half underway, roughly 10 minutes after 2 Eastern time. And a return up to the 25-yard line by Robert Wiggs.
Wiggs on the return, Logan Needham making the tackle.
Wesley beat Hobart. Mount Union took care of John Carroll.
First down, Wolverine.
In fact, Mount Union's toughest 2 games this year were both with John Carroll.
Yeah, that's a team that we discussed that, saying you think you're equal to Mount Union, and then you came back, they played them during the season in the playoffs and fought them pretty good on both games.
36-28 was the quarterfinal ending. Zone read on first down. Brandon Wright carrying the football.
Brandon Wright on the carry.
And helmet comes off, and that means that Wright will head to the sidelines for one play. This is a rule adapted by the NCAA a couple of seasons ago. And among other things, it allows the running back to get the sidelines and, if need be, get checked on to see if there was anything that was unusual with the head area. 7 punts in the first half, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Callahan throwing, and on a diving attempt, passes incomplete up at midfield, intended for Matt Bundy. They'll make that 84. Monahan.
Rodriguez on the coverage, third down.
Coming out running the football on the first down and getting some play action, get an idea of maybe what these coaches talked about offensively, what they need to do, try to keep Mount Union's defense off balance with the run-pass game, but easier said than done against this defense.
This football team has run the ball 15 times in the game, John, and has thrown 45 passes. That's a 3-to-1 ratio, and hardly what head coach Mike Drass had in mind in hoping to upset Mount Union. So on the first series of the second half, it is 3 and out for Wesley.
See if we can see anything in this release here. Ball looked like it almost slipped out of his hands. You can see it wobbling right off as soon as he released that football. Cold, wet, drizzly day out there.
Nick Miller back at his 15-yard line. Nearly blocked. And it will die in Wesley territory. Mount Union with its first offensive series of the second half. Coming up. Welcome back. Seconds into the third quarter. Mount Union again with a plus side of the football. It's a century of football here at Mount Union, dating back to the time period prior to the First World War. This is what it looked like back on Halloween 1914. Look at the crowd and how nicely dressed it was, too. It was very formal back then.
Yeah.
And the grandstands that, by the way, stand today. That's over 100 years. You know, they're always rebuilding, remodeling, and tearing down stadiums, but not this area over here. It's stood the test of time, as the cliche goes.
Tax credits.
Burke shoots one down the field, intended for Luke Meacham, incomplete. Sherman Wilkinson also down to the receiving area. So Karras wasn't kidding us at halftime. He's not relaxing any.
Kind of setting the tone early, don't you think? We're going to say, if you think we're just going to run the football, no, that's not the case.
Well, I would think, too, that you don't want to get anybody hurt in this. And we'll see how they play the second half as Burke shoots one intended for Roman Nabdar. A bit too high for Nabdar, who has been a backup quarterback. Stands at 6 feet, 185, and a junior. So how many times were you in a situation of Marshall where you were comfortably ahead and then had to figure out how to keep the intensity and the momentum going?
Yeah, I was it's a difficult thing to do, but
almost picked off, intended for Nabdar. It's 3 and out for Mount Union.
I was going to say, it's not an easy thing to do, but typically you see a score 56-0. You know, it's the backup guys that are going to come in here and keep that enthusiasm going because they don't play as much. But for Mount Union, they've got their starters out there, and they're going to try to, as he said, put the pedal down and keep going.
Snap to Edward Runke. Sent the punt away to Hopkins, who's calling for a fair catch. Wesley will start this drive at its own 14-yard line.
14-yard line.
Been a year of a lot of awards for the Wolverines, and why not? Coming on the record of 12-1. Sustin Capapula was the South Regional Player of the Year. He hails on the defensive side of the ball. Mike Dress, the South Regional Coach of the Year, and Joe Callahan, Amir Petros, and Peyton Rose all made first team. Third straight selections for them. And today it's all going to end rather comfortably, or uncomfortably for them, but at the hands of arguably maybe the best football team in Division III. Of course, we'll know a little bit more when Mount Union gets together with either Linfield or Wisconsin Whitewater Friday night on ESPNU for the Stag Bowl and the championship of Division III.
You know that they'll be tuning in here watching that football game later today. Try to get a little head start on who they're going to be facing.
That Linfield game starts in about an hour on ESPN3. And Whitewater plastered Mount Union last year for the championship in Salem. You know, it's interesting, as good as Mount Union has been over the years and certainly been dominant, as Callahan shoots one down the field. And being to the championship game 9 times, the Raiders have won 4.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Interesting number. As dominant as they have been getting there, it seems like when the matchup and they get to that big game, but, you know, you're facing the best teams in the country when they get there. They've proven it. So anything can, you know, one mistake here or there, you can see the same names over and over.
Yeah, and the one team that's been in the way of Mount Union over the last 5 years has been Wisconsin Whitewater. And again, this Wisconsin school will lose a number of its coaches, including its head coach, to the Mid-American Conference. Callahan sacked.
Well, I tell you, that's just not a good feeling for a quarterback when you know you're going to have to throw the football and you start coming off that sideline thinking, boy, these guys are going to be coming after me awfully hard. They know we have chuck the ball down the field, so they've got their ears pinned back coming after me, and I just want to make it through this thing without getting injured, as you said.
We have 3 sacks today now for the Mount Union defense. And on the year now, 38. Back to Kennedy at his own 47. Tim Kennedy has a touchdown reception in this game. And once again, for the 3rd time actually today, Mount Union will start a drive into Wesley territory. Joe Callahan came in with 3,750 yards throwing. He did not anticipate to have to throw the ball a lot today, but he has, and he has not had much time in which to do so.
No, when you talk about the pressure, look at Mount Union on him all day long. Tough to get those yards when you're throwing from your back on your heels and running all over the place. These Purple Raiders have been in his face all day.
It has been a purple rage today. That's 98. Josh Butler. Seen Joe Talley, Mike Furta, Ted Rosalva, 96. Mount Union, which threw the ball exclusively on its first drive to start the second half, puts the ball on the ground now as they're going to allow a lot of people to get opportunities to play. Logan Nemeth, the ball carrier to start this series of downs. If you're watching at home and you're saying to yourself, why do they continue to throw the ball? John, what might your answer be?
Well, that's just what they do. I mean, this is an offense. You look at the numbers that they've put up all year long. You know, it's nothing for this team to score 60 points in a football game, as you can see. So they're going to move it around, spread it around, and do what they do.
Give ahead to Nemeth. Ball straight ahead. First down for Logan Nemeth.
Good for a first down, Mount Union.
Mount Union in the first half had 22 first downs to 13 from Wesley.
At the Wesley 35.
Vince Karras, who took the keys from his father Larry as head coach of this Mount Union program, on the threshold of another national championship appearance. And Burke brought down back at his 43-yard line. That hasn't happened very often today.
Well, you think they're going to run the football? They're going pumping. They're trying to go deep again. No time to get it off that time. Looks like a good penetration by Joshua Scott. Still, Mount Union not letting up at all.
And Amir Petro's got credit for the sack on the play, his 13th of the year. That's a first down catch, though, after the sack to the 24-yard line on a pickup of 17. Therese Scott, the backup quarterback and wide receiver for Mount Union, with the catch and the run.
Easy throw for a quarterback that time. You could see even the snap went to the left side as he was just kind of got it in motion, picked it, threw it quickly.
Now Burke to carry the football. And sliding down to the 17. Pick up a 7. Doesn't seem like Wesley's had many answers for any of the plays that Burke has been able to run today. In the red zone, which is where the Purple Raiders are again, 5 for 6, and they're all touchdowns. Fake to Nemeth. Burke faking a throw and now throwing to Scott. Scott makes a man miss, diving for the pylon, and touchdown.
Well, Scott shifty at the end of this play. You watch him. Looked like he could have just went out of bounds here. He decided to turn it back up inside, fight for that extra couple yards here, and dives for the pylon, gets the football on it for the touchdown.
Therese Scott now with back-to-back touchdown receptions. It's made a lot of people miss on these receptions, too. This scoring drive, once again, starting from Wesley territory. 7 plays, 49 yards. John, this was a lengthy drive. This was a whole 2.5 minutes.
Well, they put a couple run plays in there, mixed in the run a little bit, chew up some clock.
9:56 remains in the third quarter. Let's take another look at the combination of Kevin Burke and Therese Scott, as Burke has now thrown his 6th touchdown to the game. Almost 2.5 hours in length. We've had a lot of stoppages in play due to turnovers. There have been 6 in the game, and due to touchdowns, there have been 9. Wiggs on the return with a burst of steam past the 30-yard line. I always try to put you, John, in the most favorable light. But have you ever been on the end of a game like this on any level?
Oh, yeah. Everybody, if you're playing sports, eventually you're going to get into one of these games as we take a look at Burke completing this to Scott and his extra effort to get in the end zone here. But, yes, you're going to run into this. And as a player, you know, some of the things you start to do as a football team is you want to see the backup guys get in there and have an opportunity to play. They work awfully hard, giving you some good looks during the week, working with you. So, you know, emotionally from a team standpoint, it really feels good to have the opportunity to get guys in a semifinal game like this.
Each team suiting under 60 guys for this game. That may have been either one-hopped or caught. It appears to be a reception. Good for 9 yards. Caduso able to take that before it hit the ground. Let's take another look. Yep, got the hands underneath. And what will often happen when a game gets out of hand is that you will not see television replay enter into many reviews at this point. Almost out of fairness to the situation, as that one is carried for a first down, couple of yards rushing for Brandon Wright.
Placed at the 46.
Well, for Wesley, for Mount Union, for those fans there, and everybody, I guess, for the sake of the clock continuing to run, that would be so important. Wesley moving the chains, keeping some things going, you know, even giving their defense that rest that they didn't get in the first half.
Callahan to Caduso. That's been a favorite combination. Caduso is over 100 yards receiving and over 10 yards, or 10 catches here in this game.
7, second down 3 into Purple Raider territory.
This high-powered offense averaging 51 yards a game, yet to hit the end zone. Now for the Mount Union 47. Caduso and pinned down to the ground after a short gain as Darrell Sullins grabbed him from behind.
Sullins back up to Trey Jones. You can see Mount Union working in some guys listed second on the depth chart here, giving them opportunities to play and make some plays.
This one intended for Caduso, out of bounds. Caduso in this game has 11 catches for 118 yards. He's been busy. He has been a part of this Wesley machine that has spit shutouts of 54, 62, and 59-0. And right now it's exclusively Callahan and Caduso.
They're just playing pitch and catch out there on the left side, short side of the field, making some completions going down the field. But, you know, you look at those scores, and Wesley's beaten teams 59-0, 69-0, and so they've been on that side of it before. They know. You're just running your offense, doing some things, giving backup guys an opportunity to learn what they're doing out there, too. So they've been on both sides of it.
We were all witness from a distance to Ohio State's 59-0 win over Wisconsin. Callahan is sacked. Thought maybe that Mount Union might have jumped off sides, but instead with a rush, they bring him down for their 4th sack of the game. But you're talking about momentum, how the great teams get it, and they just won't let up. Ohio State 59-0 over Wisconsin. Nobody expected that.
No, and nowhere to go with the football here as Callahan's back there and tucks it in and lives to play another down.
Still time on the play clock. And Callahan to Wiggs. First down catch inside the 20.
To Wiggs.
Haven't called Robert's name very often today. Reception of 18 yards.
A little different here when you have some time to throw the football. That's allowing Callahan to be able to make some completions down the field. Just a little bit different look when he's got some time to throw it.
First time today for Wesley in the red zone. You may recall that Wesley threw one in the red zone that was picked off by Jones and run back 85 yards. That particular snap was outside the 20-yard line. But this is the first time inside the 20-yard line of Mount Union's. Under 7 minutes, third quarter. Callahan stepping up and still looking toward the end zone, and he will throw this one away.
Callahan throwing the ball away. Third down and 7.
Joe Callahan is a junior. He's got another year to go. He'll be in Salem, Virginia next week for the announcement of the Ghilardi Trophy, along with the man who is opposite him today, Kevin Burke. His offense in the red zone modest at 56th in Division III. They've actually had 11 opportunities where they have failed to score this year. 10th play of the drive. Can they do something on 3rd and 6 from the 13? On Union rushing 4. Up in the air, ball caught.
Callahan's pass is complete.
Xavier Allen went up for it, but it will be ruled incomplete. Thought he had it long enough. He did not, and Allen is shaken up.
Not because it wasn't a great effort here as he goes up, tries to catch this at the high end. It looked like he was going to come down, wasn't able to hold on to it through the complete. So he hit the ground there. Looks like he had it, and then ground calls it to come up, but you have to have possession at the end of the play.
Allen's up on his feet for the moment, at least on one foot anyway. It brings us to a 4th and 6. Very little mystery as to what the Wolverines will do here.
Wolverine number 83, Xavier Allen.
Xavier Allen is a hometown product from Dover. Just in his sophomore year.
Today, hometown, a couple guys on this team out of a high school within 1 mile of Wesley. Pretty nice. You don't have to change beds, just stay in your own bed if you want.
Indeed. 5 receiver set. Callahan flushed out, still looking down, looking at the end zone. Everybody's covered. Now he does a little spin move. And he will be out of bounds, and he will be short of the first down markers. So Mount Union continues to throw a shutout. And everybody was well covered on the play.
Yeah, and Josh Butler, big nose guard, getting a high five as he was coming off the field that time. Kind of relentless pressure on Callahan as he was chasing him to the outside. You don't typically see a nose guard chasing down a quarterback.
The Ghilardi Trophy finalists, there are 4. Michael Bates from Illinois College, Kevin Burke and Joe Callahan, whom you're watching today here, and Dylan Jones out of Wilmette. Trophy to be presented on December 17th prior to the national championship game, in which Mount Union will be one of the finalists on Friday night on ESPNU. So I bring up the question again with the big lead, even though this is what you do, why throw the ball here?
I can't answer the question.
Fair enough.
You know, it's that control pass game. I can understand maybe some short stuff like that, move the chains and things like that, but you know, to try to hit the home runs down the field, we'll see if they do that. But they're using that pass game as part of their run game, if you want to call it that. You want to get those completions and just keep the clock running.
Fitzcarrallis says they never talk about streaks here, and they have had a couple of streaks that have been incredible, including home wins. Burke facing the pressure, dumps off a screen to Scott, and Scott's got a lot of room to run. Therese Scott all the way up to the 47-yard line and a gain of 27.
Well, one thing you notice about Scott is he is not going to run out of bounds. He's looking away. You can see him at the end of this run. Watch him look to cut back into the left side. He sees a slight opportunity. He's going to try to take it.
The inside handoff is to Bradley Mitchell.
Mitchell on the carry.
So Scott is back next year. Mitchell is back next year. Namdar is back. Tim Kennedy, a sophomore, he returns. The front line will bring back center Mitch Doherty and left guard Anthony Pursuti and left tackle Michael Frank. We're speaking of the offense. Logan Nemeth is back as well. So a lot of the skilled people and offensive line will return. I should mention, though, as Burke with a little toss pass to Scott, a little shovel pass, picks up the first down. Burke will be ending his career Friday night in Salem.
Pretty interesting play here at the end. Got a wide receiver instead of him out blocking down the field for you. He's really just kind of an outlet. You can flick it out there like an option and give him the opportunity to run it or get the completion out there to the sideline.
Yeah, good little shovel pass there. And Mitchell pushed out of bounds. And they'll spot him at the 20. First offensive series of the game. Mount Union didn't score. Actually punted the football away. And I don't know about you, John, but I was thinking, we got ourselves a game here.
It's going to be that defensive struggle that I talked about.
Absolutely. You were looking quite brilliant at that point.
Well, I'm halfway right. I thought both defenses would play well today, and you know, you just got to give Mount Union credit. We talked about them being a machine offensively, and regardless of how Wesley's played defensively today, a lot of that credit has to go because of that man and what he's been able to continue to do, what his father did, and just build on this reputation that Mount Union has.
Offensive coordinator is Jeff Dart. Quarterback's coach Steve McNeely. Burke firing to the end zone, and it is intended for Meacham, and it is caught. Touchdown.
Boy, what a great throw over the top this time as Meacham dives, lays out to make a great catch over the top. But again, that's a nice look at how Kevin Burke has great touch on the football as he throws it to a spot only his receiver can make the play.
Second touchdown reception for the senior wide receiver from Central Catholic High in Toledo. And now Edward Runke for the 70th point. A career best today for Kevin Burke as he has thrown yet another touchdown pass.
Runke's kick is good.
Touch over the top, throwing a corner pass, or the flag of the end zone they used to call it. Just tell the guy to run to the pylon there, and he throws. There's a great look at his spin on the football. An easy catch to be able to make if you got those type of hands that Meacham has, and he lays out, makes a huge play for the football team.
Kevin Burke today, 26 for 41, 415 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's a career best. And you would think at this point, as the cheerleaders must do push-ups after every point, and we should not doubt the type of condition and physical abilities they have because they've been busy today. We're thinking this could be the end of Kevin Burke's day, at least in terms of throwing the ball. I would hope so, because what would be your point throwing the ball after 70 on the board?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys on the sideline over there getting a little warm-up in. Nice to see that.
70 points in 2 quarters plus. What's hard to imagine is that this is the type of game you might see in the regular season and outside the conference in the early part of the regular season. You know, FBS, a lot of times the bigger name programs will do a bye game where they will buy the participation of a lesser team, pay them a lot of money, and then they come in and they throttle the lesser team. But this is the playoffs. This is the semifinals. This is the game prior to the championship.
Yeah, and you're talking about two teams that are ranked in the top 5 in the country. So the matchup that we thought we were going to get today, just a big surprise. And I would think that a lot of people looking at this score are kind of scratching their head saying, what happened to Wesley in this thing? Even having Callahan in here late into the third quarter, you would think maybe they would be on the board with his production that they had this year.
Been in the red zone once, failed to score. Threw a pick in the red zone that was returned by Trey Jones, 85 yards out for a Mount Union touchdown. Be a short work week for Mount Union, but it's what they look forward to. They'll be traveling. They're expected to be in Salem by Wednesday, and they will do that by bus. And the Glardy Trophy will be presented later this week, and then after that, they'll play for the championship. Callahan leading his receiver, and Steve Caduso can't get to it.
Callahan for Caduso incomplete. Darryl Summers in the coverage. 3rd down, 7.
You see Wesley, Callahan there still trying to fight, make something happen down the field. You start to feel for him, a guy that's had such a great year. You don't want it to end this particular way, especially when you're up for the Player of the Year award. You want to see him have an opportunity, and they've just been stifled, haven't had any opportunity to make plays today.
Been able to find Steve Caduso on 11 receptions, but that's been principally it. Now Callahan, nice job of eluding pressure and able to find his running back, Jamar Baynard, for the reception for 16 yards and move the chains.
And this is all on Joe Callahan here as he gets to the outside. You say nowhere to go, stops, and then quickly he sees his receiver out of the corner of his eye. It's a nice toss to him.
Now Baynard running to the Wesley side of the field.
With the football, Gabriel Brown.
Jamar, we may have mentioned this earlier, just a sophomore out of Townsend, Delaware, so he will be returning along with Callahan. And the receiving corps next year, Wiggs is a junior, Bundy is senior, Okiki is a sophomore, so is Allen. Monahan, a junior, Caduso will be lost, so they'll lose a couple of key people, but everybody else is returning. And so for Wesley, it won't be rebuilding, it'll be reloading too. And Callahan is going to throw 60 or 70 passes before this game is done.
At the Mount Union, 41.
At the 41-yard line, Joe Callahan throwing down the field.
Pass intended.
Callahan has attempted 59 passes today, completed 31. 59.
You just wonder when they have to go to the bullpen. You know, 59 pitches in a day. You want to get somebody up within the first 7 innings. That's a lot of pitches.
He has completed those passes for 293 and has had 3 picks. And he is dragged down, sacked for the 5th time today. The ball is loose. It appears that the Wolverines have recovered. If that's the case, I think Callahan fell on the ball.
The ball now at the 46-yard line. 3rd down.
Tough to see there, but Mount Union still sending backers that time. LaShawn Luke out of the will linebacker position that time, putting pressure on Callahan. So they're still not afraid to send guys in blitz situations.
Joe needs to pick up 15, and he gets it to his main man, Steve Caduso, down at the 17-yard line. Good for 29 yards. Caduso's having another fine day. Remember last year, he had 273 yards receiving in this matchup with Mount Union for 3 scores.
Well, when he has time to really throw that corner route, it looks as nice as anybody throwing that corner.
It does. 13 catches for 159. That's Jamar Baynard.
Matt Beach with the first hit on it. Gain of about 3, second down 7 at the 14.
Jamar this season rushing near 900 yards. Now 4 receivers set to the far side. Haven't seen this formation much. And Callahan trying to direct the defensive traffic to the other end, keeps the football. In other words, against Mount Union, it doesn't fool anybody.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was formation to try to get somebody to go out there. Pure quarterback draw that time, but you got to sustain your blocks if you're an offensive lineman up front, and they weren't able to do that.
Last minute, third quarter. Caduso, can he get to the end zone? He's close.
Pass is complete to Caduso. Give the Wolverines a first and goal.
So it is a first and goal for Wesley for the first time today.
That's in the 2-yard line.
Snap, straight ahead, Baynard. Stood up the goal line, no signal yet. He appears to be short.
Christian Soprano, Zach Peer.
Mount Union defense, they don't want to give up any points here. You can see them fighting to the end. Here's a good look at it. Trying to get lower than what the defense was. Couldn't cross the goal line.
Now quarterback keep, and he is dragged down at the 1-yard line. So when this fourth quarter begins, 2 more cracks at the end zone for Joe Callahan and this Wesley offense.
Gabriel Brown is third and goal at the 1.
NCAA Division III Championship semifinal has 3 quarters in the book. John and I will return here with the fourth quarter in a moment. Game summary and the score by quarters. Kevin Burke, 7 touchdown passes. That's a career best. 5 Wesley College turnovers. When play resumes, it's 3rd and 1 at the Mount Union 1. Joe Callahan in the shotgun. Gloria is the fullback. Quarterback straight ahead. Touchdown.
Touchdown, Wesley.
But it took the line judge a long time to get in there. It looked like clearly he was over the line in formation. They switched it around, and second effort, he's clearly in the end zone that time. And Wesley finally gets on the board. Good for them. Good for this football team, not giving up. Continue to try to get down there and put some points on the board.
I agree. Eric Spidell will attempt the extra point off the hold from Andrew Monahan. Good snap, ball down, kick on the way.
Monahan was the holder, and it's good.
So Wesley avoids the shutout, and Joe Callahan on the quarterback sneak. His 5th rushing touchdown of the season, his 11th of his career.
You know, it's about pride, going down there, getting some points. No team wants to be shut out. Certainly, 7 points isn't. They're not going to go home and brag about it, but you still want to put the points on the board and fight and get some. You never give up in a football game, that's for sure, regardless of what it says up on that scoreboard.
That's the head coach, Mike Drass. His team last year was far more competitive against Mount Union.
Eric Spidell.
But regardless, the season will end at the same spot. Actually, a week later than it did last year. Lost in the quarters to Mount Union. Now ending here in the semifinals. 22 seasons as at Wesley, 26 as a head coach, 198 wins. That's second most among active Division III coaches. Finished 500 or better 22 times. This one on the ground and to be returned from the 15. And so this possession starts beyond the 35-yard line. On the return by Jordan Hargrove. He's a backup wide receiver who plays on special teams. And he also plays as a secondary receiver on the offense. So now we're seeing some new people in there. Nick Hadrick, one of the linemen, 64. And we're also going to see, it appears to be a new quarterback.
Number 16, Nick Payakov.
And Nick Payakov will come in. Well, we've been touting Therese Scott and Roman Nabdar, but those guys have other jobs to do, so. Kevin Burke's day is done. He can get ready for Salem, Virginia, perhaps receiving the biggest award of all in the Glardy Trophy, and then playing for the championship versus Linfield or Wisconsin Whitewater, which will get underway in a half hour from Whitewater, Wisconsin on ESPN3. Payakov is a sophomore, nearby Akron. So despite our tempting the audience as to whether Scott or Nabdar would be the heir apparent to the job, Payakov is a true quarterback, and he is in the game and running the zone read. But I would think next year, Vince Karras has got some an interesting decision at the QB spot with Kevin Burke having graduated.
And that's exactly what you want as a coach, is some options out there. And Payakov a little bit bigger at 6'3". Kevin Burke listed at 5'11". That man right there has a lot to build on next year. It's just reloading here, really. You know, they can take guys that are great athletes in high school, turn them into wide receivers, and the guys want to come here and play. They want to be a part of a championship.
And you saw by the graphic, they'll be competing in their 10th consecutive national championship game, in which they have won 4. And you can see that game on ESPNU this Friday night, 7 o'clock. Some confusion. I don't think the chain gang picked up the fact that referee Gallagher had signaled for a first down, but now we're set. And the spot is at the 47. The chains are in position. Here's 27, Jamal Johnson straight ahead.
Jamal Johnson with the football for the Raiders.
You know, we've talked so much on how Burke has played, so much on how the defense has been able to make strips. But I also think that offensive line has been paramount to this victory. It's allowed receivers time to find their spots out there. And the 7 touchdowns thrown and 1 rushing have been spread among 7 different people. So that O-line, Pursuti, Frank, Doherty, Mahoney, Goff, I mean, they're the glue, man.
Yeah, no question about that. They weren't close to getting to Burke very often today back there. When you have that much time, you're going to get 7 touchdown passes, and you can spread it out between all those athletes that you have there. Nothing can be done without those big guys up front. And you know, they're out of the game right now, but boy, they certainly earned that break, is what they did today.
Certainly. That was running back Dwayne Aaron. He's a sophomore from Lakewood St. Edward High School in Cleveland. His 40th career carry. And right now, this is a good gesture from Mount Union. They're just using a lot of clock here. They're taking their time, running down the play clock. They put enough points up for a game and a half here. On 3rd and 11, Johnson. Quarterback got in the way and actually served as a screener. Didn't throw a block, though, but picks up 10. I think he's pretty close to a first down, but let's watch what John used to do at Marshall.
Sure, you got to get a spot for your guy out there. You know, that's almost a design for them. He gets out there. You saw Kevin Burke do that earlier in the football game, too. That cutback run, get out there and get another blocker.
Okay.
Even if you don't block, just get out there. Look like you're going to block.
Take up space. So instead of going for it on 4th, 1 certainly doesn't make any sense to do that. Runke is on to punt it away. Sean Hopkins back to return. Under 12 minutes for the game. So the winner of Linfield and Wisconsin Whitewater is going to watch this game. And we'll get into that subject in a moment and find out what they might be thinking from this 70-point barrage. Vince Karras and Edwin Runke can get set for yet another game, the biggest one of all, next Friday. In the other semifinal game today to follow on ESPN3 at 3:30 Eastern Time, Linfield and Wisconsin Whitewater, which has 4 national championships in the last 5 years. That winner faces Mount Union Friday night on ESPNU in Salem, Virginia. And whether you're Linfield or Wisconsin Whitewater, the winner of that game, and what are you going to draw from watching this tape on Mount Union?
You know, as familiar as these teams are with each other, you know, they could probably not watch tape and know exactly what they can expect from each of these teams. And just like Mount Union can expect the same thing from whether it's Whitewater or Linfield from that match. You know, these teams every year seem to be there in the final, so they're going to make some tweaks and stuff. And the whole, you know, the difference between this, not a whole lot of time in between a semifinal and the final.
The 6th turnover of the game, as the backup group right now for Mount Union gets a pick. That's number 10, Zach Deere with the interception.
Through the hands of a guy that's pretty reliable, and Kyle George too. Ball was right on the money, went right through his hands, and an easy pick. And Mount Union again in great field position.
6 Wesley turnovers for the game. And on the season now, total of 41. Check that, 37 Mount Union takeaways. Backup group is in. Jamal Johnson carrying straight ahead. Nick Payakoff is the sophomore backup quarterback from Manchester High School in Akron.
And Matt Capitola.
You mentioned Jamal Johnson. He is just a freshman from Philadelphia High School in Philly, PA, New Philadelphia, actually. Make that Ohio, excuse me. And this high-powered offense that was getting off plays within 15 seconds is slowed to a crawl now. They'll run the play with about a second remaining. They'll try to run right with Johnson. Dragged down after a gain of 1.
Johnson on the carry.
You mentioned Johnson, just a true freshman. This year had 52 carries coming into the game, averaging 9 yards when he does carry the football. So another guy that they can mix in there with Bradley Mitchell.
Now, he's only 5'6", too, so he and Mitchell are going to be a pretty good size match up there. And he doesn't look very old either, does he?
You're right. This Purple Raiders offense now, just 10 seconds left on the play clock. They're not even breaking the huddle now until about 10 seconds left.
It's a decent act of sportsmanship with 70 points already on the board. And whistle is blown. I don't know if that was delay a game. 5-yard penalty.
Delay game. Offense, number 16. That penalty is 5 yards. Still third down.
Well, in fairness, Mount Union is not used to running the play clock down.
Good intentions on their part.
No, this is not something they practice. Nine and a half minutes remain. Mount Union will try to avenge its championship loss of last year on Friday night. And again, this will be a short week, as they'll be on the road on Wednesday. They're expected by the NCAA to be in town sometime Wednesday. The Glardy Trophy announcement will come during this week in Salem, and then the championship game, Stag Bowl, to be played from Salem, Virginia, which has been host to a number of D2 and D3 championships over the years. I've been witness to softball on a number of occasions there.
Matt Kennedy will hold. Tim Kennedy, excuse me.
Reinke's going to attempt a field goal here from 38 yards out. He has not tried one today. The kick is no good. And for Reinke, just his 7th miss of the season. So at 8:46 to go in the game, Wesley will get the football back. And we will come back in a moment here on ESPN3. The NCAA Division III Football Championship is presented by Northwestern Mutual. Back to Alliance, Ohio, and our stadium at Mount Union, the University of Jim Barber, John Gregory. Backups in the game everywhere at this point. So look at running back Jamar Baynard. End around action. Caduso running for the first down. He can do a number of things, and Steve Caduso on the reverse, carrying for 24 yards.
Yardage gain for a first down.
A little razzle-dazzle late here in the fourth quarter. Still trying to get some more points on the board.
And once again, a quarterback leading the way.
Get run double reverse late in the ball game like this, and you can see Mount Union trying to put some more points on the board.
So we know Wesley's had a terrific year. It's going to end today at 12-2. So how does Mike Drass take away some of the pain?
You know, the pain's going to be, because they've built so much into this over the last year, coming back in that football game last year. You know, they put so much into this game and this particular situation, and then to come up short again, you know, it's just time. It's going to take some time. But guys are young, you know, they're enthusiastic about the next year. They'll forget about this.
Well, they always say that players get over a game quicker than coaches do.
At
So.
the Mount Union 45.
Mike Drass has had such a history of success, and Wesley was hoping this would be the first year that the Wolverines would make it to the championship game. Callahan continues to run the offense. And Caduso with a catch.
Pass is complete to Caduso.
Down to the 17-yard line, good for 29 yards. Pretty good block from Brandon Wright in the backfield from some Mount Union pressure.
Throw down the field, again keeping his eyes down the field with the pressure, finding a wide open receiver.
Callahan to the end zone, picked off, no. Darryl Sullins had it and dropped it.
Pass is broken up by Darryl.
Not going to get an easier opportunity for an interception than that right there as Sullins. Ball hits him right perfectly in the hands here. Looked like he was the receiver going in for a touchdown that time.
They're going to have to put Callahan's arm on ice when this one's over.
Yes.
They'll run the football here. Brandon Wright is carrying out of bounds inside the 10.
Tackled out of bounds by Zach Deere.
Callahan has thrown 65 passes, completed 35 for 362. Well, came close to grabbing the face mask there, but maybe more like the jersey.
Yeah, it just looked like he had his hand around the mask originally, but never grabbed onto it.
To the end zone, Caduso, did he get it? Touchdown!
Touchdown pass to Caduso from Callahan.
First touchdown throw of the day from Joe Callahan to Steve Caduso.
Well, nice to see those two guys hook up here one more time before this season ends. They've done it so often this year, and Caduso, a senior, nice to be able to score in the semifinals here and give him an opportunity to go out and maybe, which will be one of his last drives of his college football career.
That's his 54th career touchdown. Eric Spidell for the extra point. Today, Steve Caduso has 16 catches for 205 yards. Last year he had 273. Welcome back. Those are some of the Hardy fans, almost all Mount Union fans that have stayed from the beginning of this game, which commenced at 12:05 Eastern Time. We're now 3:15 here in the Northeast. And for a number of them, they're going to be making some travel plans here shortly. In the Stag Bowl, the Division III championship game Friday night. Just saw a picture of number 80, Jared Ruth, who's back as a special teams player. They'll kick away from him, though, and the return will begin at the 15-yard line.
Chris on the return.
Wesley's first touchdown throw of the game, second touchdown of the game. Callahan to Caduso this just moments ago. And that was for the 13th point of the game. And for Steve Caduso, in 2 games against Mount Union, 478 yards receiving and 4 scores.
Tough to take that. You get all those numbers and both, losing efforts from the football team, but not because he hasn't given everything that he has for this football program, this football team this year, and throughout his career.
It'll certainly be a sad way to end it, but they did get this far. As Ben Martin carries the football for the, check that, for the Raiders, it's 20, Dwayne Aaron.
9 yards on the play, second down, 1, ball at the Mount Union 47.
And for Wesley, it'll be yet another year of disappointment to Mount Union. The first 3 losses in this series were competitive, and in fact, last year was the 62-59 loss, even finding itself behind by 31 in the game. I think this one, if you talk to many people in Division III, is kind of stunning.
Tackled by Emir Petros.
Yeah, especially, the couple games they had against John Carroll, talking about this Purple Raiders team, a little close here, and after what happened last year, many people thought that this was going to be a little bit closer, wasn't going to be a rout. But really, this Mount Union team has kind of showed their dominance again today, as they've really, on both sides of the football, both sides, offense, defense, and special teams, really, they've really taken it right to this Wesley team.
Well, and to this point, John, it's been John Carroll that's given Mount Union the most difficulty. Losing last year in the quarterfinal, last week in the quarterfinals, 36-28, and playing a highly competitive game in the regular season as well.
Carey, McGinnis on the tackle, along with Julian Jones.
Let's go to look at the freshman from New Philadelphia, Ohio.
The Wolverine, 49.
And for Mike Drass, end of the season, they'll rebuild or reload and likely be back in the playoffs again next year. I mean, they've had a tremendous amount of success of getting to the postseason and getting far in the postseason, but as it is in most sports, there always seems to be one team that lies in wait and you just can't get through them. When you played at Marshall, do you remember who that was?
Yeah, we had some good battles with Appalachian State a lot of times, and you circle them on the schedule, they're going to be there every year.
Petros on the stop.
Coach Drass, and Coach of the Year again this year. That's the 3rd time he's actually won that award. And said boy, would he like to pick up that 200th win today. That would have been a nice day to do it. Upsetting this Mount Union team for the 200 win would have been something to remember.
Wesley over the last 3 years has played the toughest Division III schedule, and Mount Union has certainly had a lot to do with that. And the Purple Raiders right now just using up some clock. And we'll bring on the special teams to punt the football away. So Wesley's going to get one more possession on offense.
Ed Runke in punt formation.
They could get a couple more. It seems like if they're going to continue to throw the football when they get it, that's given no reason to say that they're going to let up trying to score.
Yes, sir, I stand corrected. I forgot which offense we were watching today. Wisconsin Whitewater has the longest win streak in college football. We'll get you to that graphic here momentarily. Catch made and no return. And it might surprise you that the Whitewater team actually has a longer winning streak than Florida State. Florida State playing in the first college football playoff. Then there's Harvard, which beat Yale today in an exciting game. Concord, Minnesota State, and Mount Union. Vince Karras, head coach of Mount Union, second season, will be 28-1. How much do you think they talked about that one loss in the offseason, dad and son?
Yeah, well, you said it. They focused on it immediately, meaning him, Vince, and his coaching staff. Try to get back to the winning ways.
So fascinating, the FBS level. A lot of teams are happy to get to 500, which makes them bowl eligible, but here you lose one game and it's the championship game and you get blown out, as the Raiders did last year by Wisconsin Whitewater, and that is very personal to a football team and a football family that has been good for a long time.
Just so much pride around this whole organization here. You get a setback like that, it'll kind of stun you a little bit and help you refocus.
Said overall, they're better on offense, on defense. Got more team speed this year, which has certainly been a factor. You know, their turnover numbers aren't spectacular in terms of 4 or 5 takeaways a game, but they're good. And they are a team that scored a lot of points off those turnovers. So for the Purple Raiders, it's a short week. Final exams have just concluded, so the kids who play in his football team can now look forward to a fun trip to Salem, Virginia.
Right on the carry, Christian Soprano. And
Wesley just keeping the ball on the ground here, running the clock, and
first down.
Picking up another first down, moving the chains, and we may see this, as you said before, this could be the last 4 downs here of Wesley's season.
In about 10 minutes, up in Whitewater, Wisconsin, Linfield and Whitewater, to determine our other finalist for the Stag Bowl on ESPNU Friday night.
Monahan, Zach Deere on the tackle for the Purple Raiders, along with Gabriel.
Well, do you think Mount Union gets it done and wins the title?
Going to be tough. You know, you look at Whitewater, and that team's got the 30 straight wins. You know, tough to, just like Florida State, you know, until you knock them off, it's going to be tough to do that. Do they have the ability to do it? Certainly do. Mount Union has the ability to beat anybody on any given day. You got all those rings.
Callahan still swinging the football and gets that for a first down. The jewelry case includes 11 Mount Union championship rings. And they're going to try to add the first for Vince Karras as a head coach. 11 titles since 1993. Kind of wrote the book on championship finishes, but lately it's been Whitewater that's been stealing the thunder.
They've got quite a trophy case as well on that side.
Callahan will shoot it down for Caduso. He's got a step on his man. He's got the football and would have scored if he hadn't slipped.
Callahan's pass,
which I'm sure he's disappointed in. It's good for 51.
First and goal at the 5-yard line.
Well, that kind of answers the question why Mount Union wants to keep the foot on the pedal there. If you're going to continue to try to score late in the game like this, then you might as well stay.
Caduso now up to 256 yards receiving. Callahan keeping, now throwing or faking the throw to the pylon. Did he get there? Apparently he didn't. He may be short. Let's see how they spot him. They spot him a yard away. Clock does stop with 40 seconds to go. And another look at Callahan spying the end zone and then deciding to tuck it in and try to sneak in. 21, Craig Pettit was up to greet him. Second and goal at the 1. Straight ahead. Touchdown.
Right goes into the end zone for the touchdown.
Wesley just trying to pound it into the inside there and getting a late score by Brandon Wright. Gets the opportunity to get it in there, and Wesley putting some more points on the board here late just to try to make this thing look a little bit more respectable.
That is Brandon Wright's first rushing touchdown of the season and the 22nd of his career. Excuse me, that's his 6th touchdown rush of the season. And the career numbers stay solid. And now Garrett Spidell for the 21st point. So for Wesley, with Mount Union with its backups in, it's been a good fourth quarter. And maybe a smile or two on the sidelines. Well, 70-21 feels a little better than 70-0. Not a whole lot. Especially for guys that are competitors, but Joe Callahan has gone the distance in this one, played all 4 quarters and played them hard.
Yep, and again, you got to give this Wesley team a lot of credit. We talked today, yes, the score, but how about everything that they've done this year and putting up the numbers that they did? You can put your head down if you want to, or you can keep your head pretty high. There's a bunch of seniors on this football team that have had a great season and a great career. And you get a look at their sideline guys hugging each other, knowing that it's all coming to an end. It's not easy when you put your heart and soul in it all these years and the commitment that you have to play football. And these guys will remember each other the rest of their lives.
Look at the Mount Union honors. Vince Karras, OAC Coach of the Year. Kevin Burke, Offensive Back of the Year, and the Capital One Academic All-American, and Tom Lally with his OAC award as well. Still more recognition to be obtained for Mount Union. That'll be the biggest prize. Coming up on Friday night against Linfield or Wisconsin Whitewater, and that game is just about underway. You can catch it, by the way, on ESPN3. Vince Karras breaks out and smiled. His group has played well, and you mentioned some of those goodbyes here taking place after what has been really good season for Wesley. But they have run into the machine today. And that'll do it.
That'll be the final play of today's game. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending. Please drive safely on your way home.
Vince Karras in midfield.
We ask your consideration in using the trash receptacles as you leave this afternoon. And tickets for the Amos Alonzo
and Mike Drass.
Next Friday night in Salem, Virginia.
Friends from competition. And certainly good luck to Mount Union for Friday night, advancing to the 2014 Stag Bowl for the 10th consecutive year. So we know one of our finalists, and Linfield or Wisconsin Whitewater will join them Friday night, John.
Yep, congratulations to Mount Union on getting to the championship game one more time, and we'll see who the matchup will be, but they really earned it today, as it was just a complete performance on their part.
All right, John, happy holidays to you.
You as well.
Thank you. For John Gregory, Jim Barber, so long. From Alliance, Ohio, final score 70-21, and to watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family ESPN networks. Log on to WatchESPN.com and download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.